This is the Seahawkers podcast, episode 497. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and I am joined by my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert. Adam, as we are celebrating our Seahawks and their second Super Bowl championship. It's been a few days. How are you feeling a few days out of the big win?
Is it appropriate to just feel like you're on top of the world for about 4 months? Because I think that's where I'm at, man. Current champions. We are current champions, and it really, every day it kind of sinks in a little different, here and there, whether it's new gear coming out or other people, the parade and seeing the things from that and all of that. Just every day it feels like there's another little realization of this is real. This happened, and we are current champions, and that is freaking awesome, man.
It has been one of the bonuses that I've also kind of forgotten about a little bit, because after you win the Super Bowl, there's so many other shows where you're getting interviews with Ernest Jones, you're getting interviews with Nicky Mamori, you're getting, Sam Darnold interviews. There's all these other talk shows that they want to talk to some member of the championship team. And so you get all these extra little perspectives on the game. And I can imagine that it's not going to be limited to just this week, but it has been a nice week of getting to listen to all those different interviews coming out of the game.
So let's relish it, man. Let's relish this chip. Let's relish this game in which we stole the New England Patriots soul. And we're going to go through quite a bit of the game here, because I think this week, let's fully celebrate the thing. I kind of want to introduce maybe just a 10,000-foot offseason question about some of the different players that may come up and things like that. Not to necessarily answer, but to be here's a question, and to start thinking about as we go on further and we start to talk more about how do you sustain this now? Because it's the next step, and that's the exciting part.
Some off-season teasers all built into this one episode. Now I'm intrigued. What are we going to talk about this offseason?
Oh boy, there's all sorts of things to talk about. There's a whole list of free agents. There's offensive coordinator things. There's draft. There's looking at historically what John has done in the past, and when he's come off a Super Bowl run, and how successful or not that was, and what adjustments maybe are made this time around. What have we learned? What kind of window do you think we've got here? I mean, it's on and on and on, dude. It's on and on and on.
We got draft season coming up too.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun off season, because now it's not building toward a championship team. It's building toward and sustaining a second championship or multiple championships. And you know what? More championships is more fun than just one.
If you have one championship, that's good. But as we say in the crazy prepper world, in which I live partially in, one is none and two is one. So let's get a second one and really feel like we got one here.
All right. Well, I want to go through this game. Earlier this week on 3 and 3 Out, we picked up on 12 plays that Clinton really wanted to focus on. I kind of want to go through the game because it's a lot like we did with the Rams in the NFC Championship game, which we can affectionately refer to as the real Super Bowl, which I think people are finally catching on to that fact now that it's been a week out. That's been kind of a common theme. It's this Seahawks team, they kind of overmatched the Patriots. Maybe the two best teams were the Rams and Seahawks, and I think that was something that we talked about, weeks ago.
Yeah, it's amazing how everybody east of the Mississippi is such a slow learner with this sort of thing, because it does seem like it's been kind of a slow burn to get the rest of the national media to be like, all right, hey, for real, this really was the two best teams in the NFC Championship game, and the Seahawks did everything they needed to do to win that and give themselves an opportunity to beat the tomato can Patriots. And it was a lot of fun. It was a fun game. I know a lot of folks say it was a boring game. And maybe if you're not a fan of one of these two teams, maybe that's how you'd feel. Not me personally, because as we go through this, Brandon, in seeing just how dominant our defense was, and how the Patriots defense, let's be real, was pretty good. They were pretty good. They weren't amazing, but they were pretty good.
They were they were good, and they were actually a little bit better than I even expected. So maybe I didn't give them enough credit, but because I thought that we'd hit at least one of those deep shots downfield, and we did not. So, but kicking things off with this game, the Seahawks, they end up losing the coin toss. So congrats to the Patriots for winning something. But they get to kick off to us first.
Fun fact about Patriots winning coin tosses in the Super Bowl.
Oh,
they're over. Every time they win the coin toss, they lose the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I heard that from Trey Wingo. Yeah.
Wow. So the coin toss very decisive in Patriots lore now.
Like, why? Who knows? It's hard telling not knowing.
Those are one of those dumb stats, though. It's like, well, the team that's wearing their dark jerseys are, end up losing more often than the teams wearing the white jerseys. And how much it matters? Not really at all, but no. It just ends up being fun facts, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. There's a trivia night one for you.
I do. I like that one because, well, it worked out in our favor. But this also worked out in our favor, losing the coin toss, because we get to start with the ball. And one of the things about this drive, very first play to start off with, and I was a little bit surprised we didn't talk about play number 1 on 3 in, 3 out, because this was the first Kenneth Walker run of the game, the first play of the game. He goes around the left side, and if you watch back on the film, it is Gray Zabel taking Milton Williams to the ground, with Anthony Bradford also taking Barmore onto the ground right on top of Milton Williams. And if we're talking about the physicality to start off this game the way that I could have hoped for, like the best possible way I could have hoped for. One, it's getting K9 around the outside, which is one of the things that we talked about going in. Like the Patriots defense we thought would be vulnerable on the edges, but then also to have that added dynamic of stacking up defensive linemen on the ground to start off the game. Very first play. And then we got on top of it, Adam, the Super Bowl mic'd up Gray Zabel right after the play. He says, I'm ready to die on the field tonight.
Yeah. And look, man, it'd be a short career. I mean, just 1 year and a chip and death. But I'm really glad that Zabes decided that he was ready to just dominate and then not die. Like, that's better for our deal going forward. But a tone setter from the start. You're right, Brandon. And as a fan, usually my perspective on this would be, oh, that's a tone setter. Like, yeah, okay. Like, I mean, it's a play. It was the first play and all that. But actually listening to some ex-players over the course of the week talk about this notion, and they do kind of recognize this first play as a tone-setting type play. It does matter to them a bit. It's something that gets them fired up on the sideline, and then also as an opposing defense be like, oh, it's going to be that kind of day, huh? And having Zabes get a pancake on his first block, and then Bradford taking the invincible Barmore down, like that's awesome.
Well, the second play of the game, it didn't work out so well, but then Sam goes past to Barner to get the first down on 2nd and 10, goes deep to Cup for 23 yards. Was this the one that I think this was early on, the one that it kind of looked like a bobble a little bit on the sideline, and Cup was quick to, they got out and lined up. Looking back on it, I think that he had control of the ball the entire time going to the ground.
He did. So it's almost as if he kind of switched hands with the ball a little bit, like kind of rotated, but it looked like it wasn't the ball like out of control. It was Cup manipulating the ball to get it to where he wanted
it. Right.
But with that said, if they had called that incomplete on the field, I think if you would have challenged it, it would have remained incomplete. If they called it complete on the field, as they did, I think if they had challenged it, it probably would have remained complete. I mean, that's just how close it was.
Right.
Heck of a catch by Cup. In these two first pass completions by Sam here, the one to Barner, you have everybody talking about how, oh my God, he almost threw a pick six right out of the game. Okay. I mean, yeah, he almost threw a pick six. But what he did do, and not what he almost did, but what he did do, because I like to focus on the things that the guys actually do, is he threw an absolute frozen rope on a dot to where only his dude can get it. And Barner stretches out, makes a great catch. Another fantastic completion over the corner to Cup there when he sees the full backside of the defender to him and lets it rip and slings it right past the dude's ear hole, and Cup holds onto it and really gets this thing going early. And it's almost as if I was like, oh man, if we're rolling like this on offense, here we go.
I thought that, especially after that completion to Cup, that this drive was going to end in a touchdown. And yeah, it's a tough call to expect Vrabel then to throw a challenge flag on that one, with the possibility that here you're using a timeout on the very first drive of the game. That would have been really tough, but ultimately that could have been kind of a difference maker if they would have looked at it closer, if it would have gone the other way, because this drive resulted in the only points of the entire first quarter after, K9 gets 3 yards on second down after incomplete pass deep left, incomplete pass to Shaheed, and then Myers gets his first field goal of the game.
Yeah. And just seeing Money Myers put it through the uprights there, it did give me a little bit of relief, knowing that the last time he was in that stadium was his worst performance of the year.
Yeah.
And goes out there and begins a performance that would get a lot of people talking about Jason Money Myers as maybe being the MVP.
And deservedly so after the game that he had. But ball goes back to the Patriots, and this was one of their more successful drives of the game. They get the ball with 12 minutes on the clock. They end up possessing the ball all the way down to 7:18, so almost 5 minutes off the clock. They get to about midfield. And the reason why I say it's one of the more successful ones, they actually ran the ball with, Ramondre gets a 6-yard run to start things off. They also have the 2-yard run that gets them close before then getting the first down. So they actually get a first down on their opening drive, a little short toss to Ramondre, which, looking back on it, I'm very surprised they didn't do more of what they had some success with on the opening drive. Now, I don't know if they had very many first down runs of 6 yards or more. We can kind of take a look at that as we go. I have a feeling that the answer to that is not many, if any. But they had some success here until Derick Hall gets his first sack of the game, the Seahawks' first sack of the game, which after they crossed midfield and got to the Seahawks 45 on 1st and 10, that's where that Derick Hall sack came into play. And Drake Maye then after that, he scrambles for 11 yards because there's nobody open downfield. And then 3rd and 9, they end up having to punt from the Seahawks side of the field. And it does result pinning us down at the 10, but one drive where, again, it was probably their most successful drive of the day apart from their touchdown drives.
Yeah, well, those were garbage time, and so I honestly don't really put a lot of stock into whatever they were able to accomplish there. It's cute, that's nice, but this first drive was one where I was like, they're getting a little bit here, but it didn't feel like it was anything sustainable. The first down catch by Ramondre, Julian Love's right there. Just takes a little bit of a bad angle, isn't able to bring him down. Stevenson breaks the tackle. Then the next pass that they complete to Pop Douglas, he actually gives a dead leg there that's pretty outstanding, and manages to get 2 tackles missed there and pile up a couple of yards there, 8 yards. And, then from there, a little run, you get the Derick Hall sack, and then an 11-yard scramble from Drake. That was Eamon Warrior screaming in from like nowhere against a fast quarterback and just lassoing him, taking him down, and making sure that it maintained a 3rd and difficult.
Right. And it was difficult enough that, they got really good pressure too, if I remember this 3rd down, to where he just had to kind of chuck it deep, and it was kind of close, but not so close.
Yeah.
But Seahawks get the ball back at the 10-yard line. This is their first 3 and out of the game. They try 3 pass attempts to JSN. Was there anything that you noticed in the way that they were covering Jackson Smith and Jigba in this game? Because there was not a lot there for JSN early on, and was it maybe trying to go to him too early and not really setting up the run enough?
I was a little surprised that we went pass on that drive there, as you started out the game with a nice run to the outside, establishing that outside zone. You'd think you'd want to lean on that a little bit more. I feel like we had a lot of first down passing in this game. That's actually not something I've looked up, but it felt like there was quite a bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said,
I think, yeah, because what was 4 of 16, well, third down passing, for sure. But
okay. Yeah. Well, we'll kind of figure it out as we go through here. Patriots get paid too. Like I said, I think they were a little better than I had maybe given them full credit for. And I really, what that boils down to is some plays that we're going to talk about in a bit with Zero out there. He pretty much took the MVP trophy away from Sam Darnold. Because, I mean, I don't think that Sam missed a couple of those by, especially the one deep shot to Shaheed. Like, that was a perfect ball. It's a perfect ball. And just a better defensive play. So they're able to put the clamps down here. Seahawks punt, Mike Dixon doing his thing all day and gets off a boomer.
So they get the ball back essentially about the same spot that they punted from initially to punt it down to the 10 for the Seahawks. So it kind of felt, in a way, it was like, okay, well, now we're starting all over from essentially where they were before. But on the very first play, Travion Henderson up the middle, it's a run blitz, and they put him in the backfield. He's for a loss of 2. And then they throw out to Travion, and he loses 2 yards again. So, and then on third and 15, they go ahead and they blitz Witherspoon, and it's a sack for 10 yards. So they start off at 1st and 10 at the Seahawks 43. They end up at 4th and 25 punting from there, and the New England 42. And after the punt, it results in essentially a 3-yard gain from where we had field position the last time.
Yeah, it was this drive by the Patriots that had me feeling like, oh, okay, this is the defense locking in, and they're really not going to get much of anything as long as they play clean. And you talk about Drake Thomas shooting his shot on the run blitz and, effing up the play and letting Ernest Jones clean it up there. And then, one of the guys we didn't talk about in 3 and 3 out, which I kind of thought that maybe Clinton would throw a play or two this man's way, but the short little pass to Henderson there, that was a Josh Jobe excellent tackle. And I feel like Josh Jobe had a fantastic football game. He really made a lot of really good plays.
Yeah, he made plays on the outside. He made this play on this drive. And I think maybe some of the hesitation around Jobe is that maybe he should have gotten tossed from the game at one point later on, right about the time of the streaker. Well, he threw a punch.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, it's the Super Bowl. Like, it was late in the game. Things were getting testy. I'm sure that nothing was said to Josh Jobe to provoke him into doing that. That's for sure.
No, but it was. I mean, the dude was.
He can't be doing it.
He comes over and shoves him, and then they get into it. So,
a great day for Jobe, I thought.
Yeah. No, and I bring that up after saying yes, great day. That was the one, black mark on the day, I guess, right?
No, it's not a black mark. You didn't get called for it. Like that's just good savvy football there, being tough.
Well, didn't they get called a 15-yard penalty at least?
I don't recall.
Maybe they not.
I think
maybe they didn't.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, I see. It was very confusing to me because then they had the streaker, and so that was kind of the focus of the broadcast. And yeah,
but
all right.
We talk about K9, making himself money in this game, possibly. Josh Jobe, one of those free agents coming up, the unrestricted kind. So
yeah, you got Josh Jobe and Tariq Woolen going into this offseason.
And that's going to be fascinating to watch. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see where they go with this, with the corners.
It's tough. Yeah, I haven't really, because between those two, I think Woolen's going to end up being the one that is pursued more aggressively by other teams on the market.
Will he? Are we sure? This is what I'm talking about, just how fascinating it's going to be. And when I said I wanted to sprinkle in some of these questions as we went, this is kind of what I'm talking about. It's just things like that. We don't necessarily have to have the answers today, but just to kind of get our little flockers thinking out there alongside of us here, because as we did 3 in, 3 out, like every free agent that came up, Clinton's like, yeah, pay him. Like, and it's like, well, yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Unlimited cap, I'm with you, but this is where the business comes in and sustainability.
Yeah. So send us an email, gohawks@seahawkerspodcast.com. Let us know your thoughts when it comes to some of these free agents and how you balance that out, recognizing that the salary cap is not unlimited. Now, I know going into this offseason, it's a very big increase, but you're talking about the idea of maybe paying Jackson Smith and Jigba early, maybe paying Devon Witherspoon early. And once you get a couple of those guys who are going to be top of the market guys, because either one of those guys, right? You go, okay, what is the most a defensive back makes? Okay, that's what Spoon makes now. What's the most the receiver makes? Okay, that's JSN now, because they're all pro dudes.
Yeah, and they're core players on your team, and players that every 31 or other organizations would say, yes, I'd take him immediately.
Right.
Yeah, and that's how you know.
All right, Seahawks get the ball back at the 13-yard line. You get a couple of K9 runs, and then another nice little pass to A.J. Barner on 3rd and 7 that helps continue this drive. He bounces off a couple of guys. Was this the one where he actually gets pushed from behind over the first down marker?
I think it was. Yes.
I think it was too.
Yeah.
But really, this drive doesn't go that much farther because on this next, they do throughout the first quarter. You had a couple of times where you had Shaheed faking kind of the toss as Darnold was rolling out to his right, and they did it 2 different times, and then on the 3rd time they actually pitch it to Shaheed, and it was like, okay, the defense was saying, oh yeah, that's real cute how you've run this fake now twice. 3rd time's the charm. We're not going to be fooled, and they weren't fooled. They lose 5, and then they're punting on 4th and 15.
They can't all be winners. And yeah, I remember the Shaheed play and being like, dang, I'm a little disappointed that didn't go for at least a positive gain, but Patriots had good penetration. And then Woodson made a heck of a play, just shooting the gap. And I can't remember I think he ends up getting around Sandell, which would have been a difficult block. Maybe it was Zabel. I don't know. It was one of the guys there on the left, and ended up bringing Shaheed down in the backfield. And, it's kind of at this point early in that drive where you're like 2-yard run, 1-yard run, and then the Shaheed run is -5. And you're like, dang, like, was that first run not a tone setter? And the answer to that was, yes, it was. It was. And you relax. It's only the first quarter.
It was, but they didn't. So people are saying, there weren't really any trick plays. This was kind of, I guess you wouldn't classify it necessarily as a trick play, but it was a little bit cute. Like they could have chosen to go more physical on 1st and 10 rather than do the Shaheed around the outside bit, but it's fine. It ended up being fine because they got a little bit more punting room to work with, and then Michael Dixon was able to put it all the way back to the New England 32-yard line because, nice 45-yard punt, no return by Marcus Jones, who I think we were a little bit worried about, but we ended up not having to worry about.
No, coverage was fantastic all day. It really was. And give Harbaugh and his boys all the credit in the world. Special teams came up freaking huge in this game, and it's not just the specialists themselves. It is everybody on coverage, and I know they didn't really get anything big in the return game, but they also didn't screw it up, right? And ask Ram fan if that's important.
They know how important it is.
Yeah.
Another 3 and out by the Patriots. This was the series where Ramonde, they started out with a 5-yard run, but then on 2nd down, that was Drake going over the middle to Hunter Henry, which I think is where Kobe locked in and had the ball hit him in the helmet, but he was going to make sure that he nailed Hunter Henry over the middle, and then they only get, they tried going up the middle on 3rd and 5, which was kind of an interesting call. And they just run it straight into Jarran Reed and Leo Williams and get no yardage. Shocking.
Yeah. It was a weird little sequence there for the Patriots. And I know that's one of those that the Pat fan kind of laments. They're like, what are we doing here? In, they end up with a 4th and 5 on their own 37 and they can't go for it. And look, I've heard a lot of folks too question some of Vrabel's lack of going for it on 4th down. And like, this is one that gets thrown into that conversation. And it's 3-0. And what are we talking about?
3-0. It's New England's side of the field on the 37. I think that the idea was to go for it and run and try and maybe catch the Seahawks defense off guard. And so that way, if you were to get, maybe you get a 1st down, catching us off guard on 3rd and 5, but maybe you pick up 3-4 yards and then you're in 4th and short. And then it's an instance where you then do really think about going for it. But no, 3-0 and you have a 4th and 5 on your side of the field. That would have been silly.
That would have been super silly. And it would have been there's the famous Bill Belichick going for it on 4th in their own end against the Colts in the playoffs, and it didn't work, and him just getting fried for an entire offseason about it. It's probably why he's not in the Hall of Fame. It's definitely not about his 12-year-old girlfriend, but at the end of the day, or his salty demeanor towards the press, because that determines whether or not you should be in the Hall of Fame.
Since you're bringing it up,
yeah,
let's talk about the Hall of Fame just briefly, because I think this relates back to Mike Holmgren.
Okay.
Because one of the things that I've heard now coming out of this Hall of Fame vote where Belichick was snubbed is that they changed this, how they vote for this particular group of people, the offseason, because you and I both looked at it and said, well, Mike Holmgren's going to be a lock. He's the only coach. It's an up and down vote. And they changed it from an up and down vote, though, to they had 3 players, a coach, and however, there's 5 people, and they told this committee that you can only vote for 3 of the 5. Well, some of the people are voting solely for the players because they just, I guess that's how they feel. Or another aspect to it, too, everybody used to go to Canton to meet up in person, and now they did it over Zoom. And so it's a component of it, too. I don't know why it makes it so much harder, but
it doesn't.
It went from an up and down vote to you had to pick 3 of these 5 to get in, and then it's made it harder, and that's one of the reasons like why Coach Mike didn't get in on the last ballot.
Yeah, because it's stupid, Brandon. It's stupid. Oh, you can only vote for 3 of the 5. What if all 5 are like first ballot Hall of Famers? Like, can I vote for all 5 because they're first ballot Hall of Famers? Like,
right.
Like, all I hear from the Hall of Fame voting committee on why Bill Belichick isn't in the Hall of Fame, I'm not even like the biggest Bill Belichick fan, right? Like, there's a lot of things that frustrated me about him. There's times he was funny, like whatever, but like, what the catfish are we talking about? He won 6 Super Bowls. He won 6 Super Bowls, and don't give me this Tom Brady crap. Like, Tom Brady couldn't do it on his own either. Like, it's so stupid. Like, if the guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer, then he should get in as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, it's just, this isn't rocket surgery.
Well, Tom Brady did get one with the Bucs without Belichick.
That's right. He had help. Bruce Arians was already there, had things established. They had a good defense. Like, things were rolling. They were a quarterback away.
Yeah.
So I just, whatever excuse the stupid Hall of Fame voters have for this sort of thing, like, they can shove it up their butts, because I have zero patience for it. It's the epitome of worrying about the process so much when the result here is what's important.
Yeah. We can talk a little bit about it more too in the offseason, because there's other parts of this that I think need to be fixed for it to continue to work. But The Seahawks, they go on their second scoring drive after getting the ball back after that fourth down stop. And this was the drive where on 1st and 10, this is where they take the shot. Deep middle for Shaheed. Great pass defended by Christian Gonzalez. And I have to wonder, though, too, if it's not Shaheed trying to catch this deep, if we send JSN on this route, I feel like we've had way more success sending Jax on this deep middle route than we have with Shaheed. Especially when there's defenders in coverage, like close. I feel like Jax is just way better at navigating some of the defenders and being able to position himself better for these downfield catches.
I mean, okay, yeah, Jackson's been fantastic. Obviously, offensive player of the year, all of that and everything. Did Shaheed win his route?
He did, and then it was a great play by Gonzalez. But
there we go. So, like, hey, this is where we can put the final stake in the heart of the play that shall not be talked about. Christian Gonzalez made a great play. He made a great play, and then they still freaking lost. But yeah, this is the one where I think Sam put the ball dead on the money. That's about as good as you can throw that football. Maybe you could get it a half step out more in front of him, but we're talking that's a bomb of a throw. And if it's not for a Herculean effort and a pterodactyl wingspan from Gonzalez there and just timing it up, the way he was able to time up his jump and just with the one hand, it was an incredible play. And this was not a Sam miss. Like, that's one of those where 99% of other corners, that's a touchdown.
Yeah. And so one of the things that has bothered me coming out of this game is the description of Sam Darnold and his performance of it being like quote unquote shaky or not his best performance.
True.
I suppose, yeah, it's true. It's not his best performance, but also when they throw out the quarterback rating and say, well, his quarterback rating was his bottom 3 of the season. Okay. Yes, true. But this is also the Patriots Super Bowl defense that he was going against. And they were sending blitzes and pressures. And gosh, he was pressured, I think, 14 times in the backfield and running down the list. And it was like Gray Zabel had 5 pressures that he gave up in this game, which when you got Milton Williams on the other side and Christian Barmore, like
they get paid.
And it was kind of we had that question going in of how would this middle group of dudes hold up against this Patriots interior group, and the answer was they gave up a lot of pressure. You had 5 pressures by Zabel, you had 3 pressures that were given up by Sandell, and 3 given up by Bradford. So, and then when you look at the other guys, it was, I think, what did I say, 14? One was K9, which was the one that we covered in 3 in 3 out, where he was trying to hold off 2 blitzers and gave up a quarterback hit. The other one was
they gave him a hurry on that or a pressure.
I think, yeah. Well, they got to the quarterback. They got a hit on Sam Darnold.
Well, I know. Is Kenneth Walker one guy or 2 guys?
Well, it's just how the stats work out. Like it goes into the number column. It's like, I don't know if somebody runs into Jaron Reed and just their body crumples, like he still gets a stat for a tackle, even though he didn't wrap his arms around him.
How's that pressure not on Sandell for not recognizing the extra blitzer earlier and trying to help Bradford when he didn't need to?
I don't know. Maybe they thought that since he had 3, they were trying to balance it out to K9 and still K9's dude was going through him too. So
yeah, but he got enough of him.
Sure. I'm just saying, like, in terms of, this is one of the things that bugs me out about grades too, because K9 got graded down because of, I don't understand why you would grade down a player for that play, because like, what are you expecting him to do? He was trying to take on 2 guys as a running back.
I'd love to bring like K9 into the film room and be like, buddy, we got to talk about this pass pro here. So
you got to do better.
You're one person and those are 2 people and you were only able to keep the one person off your quarterback. So like, we're just going to have to grade you down here for just being one man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Bulk up in the offseason, Ken.
God.
No, it's okay. And then of the guys though, Abe Lucas didn't give up any pressures. Charles Cross gave up one. And
yeah, so you said 14 total pressures?
Yeah.
Yeah, one New England Patriot gave up 14 pressures on his own in this game. So if you want to talk about like doing a good job or a bad job against, look, it's a good defense. They obviously got to the Super Bowl. They did what they needed to do. Offensive line did their job in this game, and I think should get a huge amount of credit. Think about where these dudes were last year.
Yep.
This group and where they are this year. I mean, think even 2 years back. Like, this is unbelievable. Like, a very high quality effort by our players up front. And so we talk about the incompletion to Shaheed, and then the offensive line and Kenneth Walker, they make up for all those pressures on the day with a 30-yard run to the left side. And it was a fantastic outside zone, or maybe it was a pimple. I can't remember, but it was a great play.
Yeah, great play by K9 to get 30, just dancing down the sideline. Then he runs to the right off the tackle for 29 yards. So they say the Christian Gonzalez says, "Oh, you're not going to throw deep on me." And then the Seahawks say, "Oh, that's fine. We'll just get there by 2 separate runs by Kenneth Walker, and we'll be down where you defended that pass." They get those 2 big runs, and then they get stymied inside the red zone, and another Jason Myers 39-yard field goal.
Yeah, and I think that wasn't the play I was thinking of, but yeah, an incompletion to Cup, a negative 2-yard run, and then Money Myers comes out and takes care of it. But this was the drive where it felt like that the field position was finally starting to flip a little bit for the Seahawks, because they had started their first few drives like, on their own 10, the 13, and this drive starts in the 24, and then later on in this quarter we're closer to the 30, and it's like, okay, this is finally starting to balance out here a little bit.
Yeah, because we heard from Chris Collinsworth, "Oh, this is a defensive game. This is going to be a defensive battle. Oh, the defense on the field. It's going to be a battle of the defenses."
I mean,
and
it was for a while.
It was for a while.
Yeah,
but it was getting annoying. Is I think what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, well, when you don't have a bunch of offensive wizardry to talk about in the booth on a Super Bowl, and you've got 10 billion eyeballs watching you, that's a tough job. I give Collinsworth credit or crap all the time on this podcast, right? But that's a tough gig.
The New England Patriots get the ball back after the kickoff. They try and run Henderson again, pick up 3 yards, and then Rylie Mills on 2nd and 7. He says, "I am going through Jared Wilson, and I am getting to the quarterback, and nobody is going to stop me." And it ends up being 3rd and 17 after Rylie Mills gets the very first sack of his NFL career in the Super Bowl.
I mean, what a coming out party for Rylie Mills, and especially all the work coming back from the injury and everything that he's done to get back on the field. And then because the room is so damn talented, just can't find a lot of opportunities to go out there and show what he's bringing to the table. And I think this one play may ultimately affect this draft to a degree, Brandon, because think about as we go into this next year, as we're team building, are you going to take the little bit of draft capital you have and maybe address another guard? Or do you feel like, hey, Anthony Bradford got a spot and he'll be even a little better next year? And do we build strength on strength? Do we go and add more to the defensive line and to the defense? And I wonder if this one play with Rylie Mills maybe makes it so that you feel like you don't have to start adding to the strength quite yet, knowing that you got this young rookie who looks like a man amongst boys out there at times. And I didn't realize he was that strong. I absolutely did not.
Well, apparently his teammates were not surprised, because as he did it, as we listened to the mic'd up version of the Super Bowl, they were like, "Oh, it's Rylie doing Rylie Mills things." And they weren't shocked, but they were fired up for it.
They were, man. And just another cool, little inside peek on a small level to the brotherhood that these guys have.
Yeah. So New England 3 and out once again. Stephon Diggs actually does get a pass completion on this drive. but it doesn't matter. Seahawks get the ball back. Then they're able to move it a little bit. Sam had a nice little completion on a 3rd and 3 to K9 that ends up getting a first down. And then the next 3rd and 5, incomplete to K9. And yeah, they're punting the ball back down. And this one, Adam, was the punt that goes down and out at the 2-yard line of the Patriots.
Yeah, and just one of a couple just bangers from the punter from down under, man. Like, just fantastic game. Hats off. And it's interesting. It did come out later. We've talked about it a couple times, how the Seahawks spend more on their specialists on special teams than any other team. And you see how much more bang for that buck that you get, because we're talking about $9 million. You know, to put that in perspective, Cooper Kupp got 15 this year.
Right.
Okay. And I'm not saying I'm done killing Coop on his play, right? Like, I'm still going to sports hate him because I'm just,
that's how sports hate works.
That's how it works. But in terms, like, nothing but respect for play on the field. But I kind of feel like dollar for dollar, I mean, Dixon and Myers, man, they really do tilt games quite a bit for a lowly $9 million. And that's the most. Like, what an inefficiency that John kind of tapped into there.
One cool thing, too, about I was going to go back. I was going to mention a couple cool stats. So there was the Cooper Kupp stat, which he became the first wide receiver. I think Mookie Alexander diagnosed this and posted up on Field Goals, that Cooper Kupp was the first wide receiver to lead 2 different teams in receiving yards. The first wide receiver, to lead 2 different teams.
Okay.
In the Super Bowl. So
impressive.
Pretty impressive.
Very impressive. Got
he
2
did it
rings.
with a lot more yards in the Rams game. He didn't need as much in this one. But then the offensive line, too, as you were talking about the draft and building strength on strength, this was the 4th completely homegrown starting offensive line to win the Super Bowl.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that. Okay. Yeah, because there really isn't. There's no
veteran they're on the offensive line.
That's wild. That is wild to think about when we've went for so many dang years wondering how and why we couldn't just develop guys. And maybe, again, to kind of add another little off-season question here, have we heard anything about what's going on with Benton? Going?
He was asked if he was going to go with Kubiak, and his response was, "I'm a Seahawk."
Okay, so no news
is the best non-response, right? Because I'm under contract with the team that I'm under contract with, right?
Yeah, because he is under contract, so the way that you would have to bring him along is to give him a promotion of some kind, right? So, if you're Kubiak and you really feel like it is essential that you bring Benton with you, okay, so you're assistant head coach.
They did try and request an interview with Outen, but the Seahawks denied that.
Denied. You can look, and I love Clint Kubiak. He will forever be like somebody I, have nothing but the most fondest feelings for. Brought the offense of my dreams to this team to pair with his defense and brought us a championship. We only get him from 1 year, but you're a Raider now, and you can't have our guys. You decided it was the first of your bad decisions after being a Seahawk, like moving on to the Raiders. So you can't have our dudes. Can't have them.
And it's not a lock necessarily that Benton's going to stay, or that, because they came out afterward and said they're going to interview, 4 different dudes on the offensive coordinator staff for the OC job.
Okay.
And they did announce, though, that there was one outside offensive coach coming in for an interview. So that's why I'm saying it's not a guarantee that it's going to be an internal hire, but
it does feel they're leaning that way, though.
One of the things that Coach Mike said is that their offensive system, they want this to be the Seahawks offensive system. And so when you couch it that way, then it makes a lot of sense that, okay, we have all these guys in place. We want to keep doing what we're doing. To bring in an outside guy just who may have their own idea of the system that they want to run.
I mean, if they're in alignment, then I don't know that that's an issue. But
right.
Then you look at somebody like the Bucks, right, where they had Canales, he moves on. Then they promote Liam Cohen, he moves on and does a good job. And then I can't remember who their third dude is, like trying to go 3 deep on Bucks offensive assistants, right? Like not my jam, but it wasn't quite as good. So I think you could do that for a while just to promote from within. How many bites at that apple can you take? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. But Connor Sanger, the pass game specialist for the Cardinals, is the guy that they brought in outside of the team.
Nope. Never. Nope. Nope. Absolutely not. Nope. No Cardinals stink on this team. Nope. I
don't like it either. All right. But I do like this next drive that, I don't completely like it because the Patriots did get a third down conversion, short pass to Demario Douglas, Jobe on the tackle. And then after that, they, on the next set of downs, there's a false start penalty on Campbell, and then they get off the field. So they actually do convert one first down finally here again in the second quarter.
Yeah, and it was at this point where even getting that first down, it was such a struggle, and everything was so hard. And McDaniels was clearly not making adjustments at this point. In one of the wild things we didn't talk about in the first quarter here, Patriots go scoreless, obviously. That Josh McDaniels has been in the Super Bowl as a coach 10 times, 8 times or 7 times as offensive coordinator, something like that. They have scored 0 points in the first quarter of a Super Bowl with Josh McDaniels as OC, or even if you take it that full 10 years on staff. But if you want to keep it to just OC, and that's with Tom effing Brady.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. So
yeah.
I did expect them, though, to do a lot more short passes to the outside, a lot more trying to get Drake Maye running around a little bit and on the move and just not confine him within the pocket.
I think they were worried about his shoulder getting more banged up.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think he ran much. But the thing that seems inexcusable to me is with the Seahawks pass rush just pinning its ears back and getting after you. Where's the screens?
Right.
Like New England used to be screen city.
And that was one of the things that I felt like that's how they moved their offense against the Legion of Boom in the 2014 Super Bowl.
Yeah. Screens, and then Edelman with the little option routes and all that stuff, that whether it was Welker or Amendola or, Edelman, like throughout the years, they always had the little shifty white slot receiver that they would run like 80% of their offense through, it felt like.
Sure. Well, and I guess when you end up looking at the stats overall, it kind of played itself out that way. Mac Hollins was kind of that Edelman type guy. He got 8 of the targets.
They seemed more
yards.
Downfield. Yeah.
They used him more downfield. Yeah. Demario Douglas, I guess, was more of the higher volume, shorter stuff of the receiving
that's
group.
More his game.
And then, Ramondre and Travion, they still caught 8 passes for 66 yards.
Yeah. They all seemed like desperation checkdowns, though.
Right. Instead of, but that's how effective the pass rush was in the pressure. Like, they all had
That's what I'm saying. Run a screen.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Seahawks get the ball back. 2 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. And again, only 6 points, but the opportunity to maybe put up a score ahead of halftime here. And they drive down the field. This is where Halani picks up a key third down on the ground after a nice pass over the middle. K9 had a couple nice runs to start the drive that got them their first down. And let's see, they end up then going for the end zone on 3rd and 3. And again, this is where Christian Gonzalez was there to break up the pass to JSN in the end zone. This one, the throw probably could have been away from Gonzalez a little bit more, but again, just him stretching out and got at least a hand and a half on the football.
This was a bad throw. So I just gave Sam all the cover in the world for the deep shot to Shaheed. This was a poor throw. It was a little, watch JSN have to kind of slow up and then try to jump. If he just gets a little more arc underneath of it, a little more loft on the ball, and puts it out more towards the letters in the end zone and just gives JSN a little space to work with, it's a touchdown. But I think this is where if people want to say it wasn't Sam's best game, okay, like there's a throw that you can point to and say, not your best. But let's be real. This was a B+ A- performance. You needed a C performance out of your quarterback to win this football game. And Sam played above that level by a good margin and did a lot throughout this game and clutch situations and used his legs a few times. I think the criticism of his performance in this game is ridiculous if anybody's actually doing it. I haven't heard a ton of it, but look, he's a Super Bowl champion, and this is nowhere near Trent Dilfer or Nick Foles trying to manage a Super Bowl. That's not what this is.
There are people out there trying to put him in that category. There was that one Fox Sports analyst, I want to say Rob Powers or something, who called him Scam Darnold after the game, saying that.
Oh yeah, what's his name? He has some of the worst takes in all of football. Like, if you think I had a couple doozies this year, listen to him on the regular. Like, good gracious. Yeah, like Scam Darnold, get the hell out of here. Like, then every
Rob
Super
Parker,
Bowl,
not Rob Parker.
That's him. That's him. Yes, if you want to call him Scam Darnold, okay, go ahead. You're welcome to do it. It's free country, First Amendment, all that good stuff. But then every single quarterback who's ever won a Super Bowl is a scam artist, because guess what? They don't win the Super Bowl on their own. And that's one of the greatest lessons that I feel like the national football consciousness finally got through their heads after 20 years of 10 years of stupid Star Wars quarterback inflated offensive football with craptastic rules that just completely favor them. Finally, people are like, well, I guess maybe you need more of a team. Like, it's great.
I think maybe where some of the short circuitry of this game comes along is that neither of the quarterbacks, because in the Super Bowl, generally at least one upstages the other quarterback. And so you can point to, oh, well, that's the quarterback that won the game.
Yeah.
And in this game, you couldn't do that because you had two defenses that stymied both the quarterbacks in different circumstances.
And then Sam Darnold upstaged Drake Maye.
He did.
Played better football.
He did play better football.
So, just saying.
Well, and that's what it comes down to in this game, right? Because you had, even though the score was only 9-0 after that incompletion, Jason Myers trots out, kicks the 41-yarder. It's 9-0 going into halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Darnold was a key component in his throws on each one of these drives. The second one was definitely more canine because he had the two 30-yard runs.
Of course.
But and that's probably ultimately what ended up helping him win the MVP, is having a couple really explosive runs in the game. He had a nice explosive pass that put him into, I think, either field goal range or scoring range. We're going to get to it. But, yeah, Sam Darnold through this first half, he engineered 3 scoring drives, Drake Maye 0.
Yes, and it wasn't the types of scoring drives that we saw. Do you remember that Jimmy Garoppolo game with the Niners where they let him throw like 3 times and a half or something like that?
Where they were just, they didn't want to have any part of him trying to throw the football.
Yeah. If you want to call him Scammy Jimmy, then go ahead. Like that would be a team that didn't believe in their quarterback, and he wasn't the guy engineering those drives. I mean, clutch throws throughout this first half for Sam. he leads the team on multiple drives, like first drive, 8 play, 3 plays, 6 plays, 8 plays, 8 plays, in 9 plays. Whereas compared to the Patriots in the first half, sure, they had the 8 plays on the first drive. That matches their most on any drive throughout the game. 4 plays, 3 plays, 3 plays, 6 plays, 1 play, because they just have to do the kneel down, because for some reason at the end of the half, Braves didn't want to call some timeouts as they were coming down the field and try to preserve some time to give them a shot, which I thought was odd. But that's when you kind of felt the domination set in, Brandon. I don't know about you, but the second, the third field goal went through the uprights and we're up 2 scores. I honestly felt like that was game.
It felt like it, but at the same time, you're thinking, okay, this is Josh McDaniels, the Patriots. They're going into the half. They have an opportunity to make some adjustments. I think I reserved it more for waiting until after the half and seeing if they could do something. Okay. And then they came out and they went 3 and out. All right.
And
they're not going to do anything.
They went 3 and out 3 times in a row starting the second half, man. That's just how locked in. So you were talking about the idea of McDaniels and his adjustments, and it's the Patriots and rah, right?
Yeah.
What about Mike McDonald in his adjustments at half? There was nothing for them coming out in the second half, and the screws just got ratcheted up, and tightened down even harder. And not to mention the brilliance of Mike's game plan and how prepared this team was all the way around on another situation where they had extra time to prepare. I did not go and look it up, and I meant to before we did this show, but Mike off buys, the extra week in the playoffs, and then this extra week here in the Super Bowl, team has come out and been excellent each and every time.
I don't think they've lost when they've had 2 or more weeks to prepare.
Coach last Mike. Year they destroyed the Commanders coming off their bye.
This year.
Was that this year? Okay, yeah. That was this year. All right.
And last year it was a different team that they destroyed coming out of the bye, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And you said 3 straight 3 and outs. It would have been 4 if not for a Devon Witherspoon holding call that actually gave them the first down on that 4th drive. So the only reason why they actually even got a first down at all in the entire 3rd quarter was because of a holding call.
Yeah. And that was the type of struggle that Mike put on McDaniels all day. And one of the things that I think we get to take away from this game, Brandon, is of all the mix and the max of the head coaches, and there was a bunch of them. Now some of them are OCs again, like they failed as head coaches. Mike McDonald is the best of all of them.
Of all the max.
Of all the mix and the max. McVays and the McDonald's, all that. Yeah. Yeah,
it was the Niners that he beat last year. It was a 20-17 victory over the Niners that they got coming out of the bye week.
Yep, look good.
That was in San Fran.
Yeah, huge game for Mike.
So, we pretty much summed up all of the Patriots drives there.
Let's see. I'll go through it here again. Suck. Yeah, that was the 3rd quarter for the Patriots. Just a puddle of suck.
But that 3rd quarter drive, the 1 scoring drive for the Seahawks, I do want to touch on this because, again, this was another really nice drive by Sam Darnold because they started off at the 9-yard line. So they're backed up. They run it with K9. They just get 2. But then with the pressure around him, Sam Darnold goes over the middle to Rashid Shaheed. It wasn't the greatest looking pass, Adam, but it was effective. Shaheed caught it. They move the chains and they get out from being backed up on the end zone there.
Yeah, he should have, if anybody asked him about it, he should have pulled the Peyton Manning. I throw a lot of ducks for touchdowns, and while it was a wobbler, no doubt, it was with pace and authority and exactly on the money. And is that a surefire, easy catch for somebody like or any receiver, really? But no, but Shaheed made it happen, and it was a great catch. Drive starter, Sam standing tall in the pocket and changing his arm angle. We break this down on 3 and 3 out. That came out just the other day. So if you haven't caught that, go back. And if you really want to deep dive into any of these plays, with a little bit of video that goes with it. That was a fun one to watch.
Yeah, and then he throws a quick dart to JSN for another 16 yards before then we got the one scramble of the day for the first down from Sam Darnold, which he was not going to slide down at all. He was weaving in between Patriots defenders, and he was picking up the first down. To me, that might have been my favorite Sam Darnold play of the day.
It had moxie. There's a little ginger wiggle in there too. Like he kind of put a little move on in the middle of that run as well to make it happen. Yeah,
that got the defense fired up on the sidelines too. The mic'd up reaction I think we heard from Ernest Jones. He's like, "Oh, that boy's an athlete.
That boy's an athlete." Yeah. And again, it's just kind of weird because just the way his body's built, he doesn't look that sort of athletic, but there was more of a burst there than you might think, and it's not something he takes advantage of a lot. But I remember as he's rolling out there, I'm yelling at the casino screen like with 1,000 of my closest friends, freaking run.
Then the couple plays after that, K9, 20-yard reception. And I feel like, was that the one where he was trying to get dragged down by his arm? And he was just kind of leading the defender down the field at that point, picks up 20 yards, and then they get the field goal to go up 12-0.
Man, and that was another good example of K9 all night in just a demonstration of his strength as a runner, because we do know him as the shifty jitterbug, all of that stuff, but man alive, he is just tough. Like, this is why I was so enamored with the pick when they took him, whatever it was now, 4 years ago. He's the real deal, man. He is the full package.
And this is why it's a little bit frustrating as a Kenneth Walker fan through the entire season of wanting to see him get an entire volume load of the game, because you could start to see the rhythm that he was getting in toward the third and the fourth quarter. And when you're trying to split carries between another back and your main back, I don't think you get to that point as a running back to where you really get the feel for the game and how it's going. And I understand it from the sense of, hey, we got K9 in the Super Bowl. Like, we got a healthy full season of K9 to where he could produce this type of MVP performance in the Super Bowl. But at the same time, like, I want to see some games like this too in the regular season.
I hear you, but why? Why did we get that throughout the season? And it drove me nuts. I bitched about it the entire regular season. I did, without question. But with that said, this is another data point to know that Mike McDonald is the best of the Mickey Mac coaches, whether that's McDonald, McVay, McDaniels, McDaniel, McDermott, any of them, right? Because Shanahan, this is hilarious. Like, they're all talking about a substation around their facility, and that's why they all get hurt. And then you look up, and Christian McCaffrey had yet another 475,000 touches through the regular season. Like, why does his Achilles hurt?
Shocking. Yeah, because he's old, and they just use the crap out of him in the regular season. And Christian McCaffrey is not a dude who's going to take it easy. Like, he plays the same way. No matter what game it is, he's going to run through people, not take it out of bounds. And so part of it from a coaching standpoint,
and there's a history too, right?
Yeah. And has an injury history. So,
which is going to be the most fascinating part. And I'm going to use the word fascinating a bunch on this pod, talking about the next offseason, the next 3 to 5 years, because it truly is. I cannot wait to watch all this unfold and to see how good or not good, all of it, right? The injury stuff with K9, how does that factor in with other teams when they're making offers? Or are we, just looking at Super Bowl MVP? What was it, like Larry Brown for the Cowboys who won MVP randomly against the Steelers, and they got paid massive money, and everybody's like, really? Are we sure?
Well, I feel like there's a couple Cowboys receivers that ended up getting paid based off of performances opposite Michael Irvin. And they just show up in the Super Bowl and then they get paid. So
yeah,
that's why when it comes to K9, I'm a little bit concerned because I think other teams are going to see this style performance and they're going to go, gosh, they barely even used him throughout the season. We can use him at this level of volume throughout the year and pay him at that, with that expectation. And maybe John Schneider's not willing to do that. And
where do you, per year, where do you think the number is for John Schneider where he's like, I'm out?
I think that Clinton kind of had it nailed around that James Cook level.
Okay.
Because if you're going over that, it's tough, man.
That's more than your two amazing specialists again combined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but they
I
do
don't
have
know,
the money
man.
for it. I don't know either. And you do have another year of Charbonnet coming back. He's going to be coming off injury, but I think that he's the type of player where it's not going to impact him, where that type of injury, I think, is going to impact his game as much as, a shifty type runner like K9. So
let us hope. Yeah, for sure. In the ACL thing, players over the years now, they generally, it's not every time, especially when you're a young player, generally you come back and you are who you were before. When we were growing up, dude, when the CL went, any of the CLs, it was over. Like, you're just like, oh no, well, that's the end of that.
Right. Kajana Carter was the running back coming out of
Great
college
pull.
who was like, this dude is going to be the dude. And even, the fact that Kurt Warner lost one of his CLs, like, he was incredible for the Seahawks in the early 80s. Then he lost a CL, but he was able to come back, which even at that time, unheard of, and was still a very effective runner. But if you compare, 86, 87 Kurt Warner to 83, 84 Kurt Warner, it's like not even close.
Was it Terry Allen, the Vikings and Redskins, that back? He was pretty damn good. I'm pretty sure that's what his name was, but like just destroyed his knee on a beach playing like volleyball or something, and it was just over.
Yeah. Well, there was the one Pro Bowl running back for the Patriots too, who lost it at who his knee blew out on the beach at the Pro Bowl.
Oh my goodness, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I can't pull the name right now, but
anyway. Terry Allen. Yeah, this is who I was thinking of. Yep. That's a rando for most people. They probably will not remember him, but he was pretty damn good there for a minute.
Yeah.
So high hopes for Sharps.
Robert Edwards is the one I was thinking of.
Oh, I'd forgotten about him. Yeah.
All right. Enough obscure running back CL knowledge. At the end of the third quarter, the Seahawks, they get a turnover. They finally get Drake Maye rattled even more so than he's been rattled all game. Derick Hall gets the sack, punches out the football. Byron Murphy recovers, and the Seahawks get the football going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and that's where it felt like the floodgates had finally opened, and you knew that it had been such a slog for this Patriots offense all day, and that McDaniels had no answers. That offensive line was getting dominated, and the fumble happens, sets up the offense to go ahead and score their only touchdown on the day. Or no, the offense, that's their only touchdown.
The offense's only touchdown.
And you're like, look, this is a wrap.
Yeah, after I caught myself because after A.J. Barner caught that touchdown pass, great catch too, very nice throw. God, I heard that somebody characterizing that throw by Sam Darnold as a floater. And going back and watching that throw.
Yeah, good floater.
Yeah, like just.
It's not on a rope.
No,
like,
it's a nice touch pass to a wide open dude.
Yeah. I mean, he hit like a 7-iron,
Yeah. I guess when I think of floater, I'd characterize the Shaheed throw where it was kind of ducky. Like that was more of.
And that wasn't a floater. That was on a rope, dude.
It was on a rope, but wobbly. So
what you're thinking of as a floater is like kind of like arms hit maybe slightly, and there's no pace on the ball, and it's kind of up in the air, just kind of quacking.
Yeah.
I think that's probably, I'm guessing.
I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't think of the AJ Barner touchdown pass as a floater necessarily.
Okay.
But...
Yeah. I mean, if it's a negative connotation floater, then see Ernest Jones. And if you're talking about a nice, beautiful touch pass that floated right out there for Barner to just settle under, then then you got it right.
And in my mind too, after the Drake Maye fumble and then the recovery, I was thinking that the AJ Barner was just the very immediate throw, but there were 2 first down throws that set up that touchdown pass. It was a pass to the right to AJ Barner that maybe that was the one he got pushed from behind.
I think that's the one. Yeah.
And then a 3rd and 9 throw to Cooper Kupp that, the throw to the left that he was on Gonzalez in coverage, and Gonzalez just, it was kind of messy on the route, so he couldn't quite get there. Great throw by Sam then to the outside. It picks up the first down, and it was that pass then that set up the A.J. Barner touchdown.
Another clutch catch from Cooper Kupp in the Super Bowl right there in winning on his route. I want to say that was an out, right?
Yeah.
To the left. Yeah. Just again, coming through and being in this game. He wasn't this all season, but he ramped it up as we got late, which again, another thing that just blows my mind after not playing a healthy season for 3 seasons. And then he gets here and then gets better down the stretch. Like how? Like just how? What voodoo magic happened there? I want to know.
I don't know either, but
it's great though.
He made it happen. And then as we now enter what we'll nicely refer to as garbage time, as the Seahawks are up 19-0, this is where Drake Maye strings back-to-back passes to Mac Hollins, a 24-yard throw over the middle, which was into traffic of like 5 different Seahawks. And I don't know how that pass was completed, but then after that completion, then he goes right back at Tariq Woolen and gets the touchdown to Mac Hollins and the Patriots. Yeah, then it's 19-7.
Yeah, let's talk about the Mac Hollins throw, because this is I think this probably is part of what's annoying you about the Sam Darnold narrative from this game. Is Sam puts that dot for AJ Barner early in the game, like the only place it could be. Oh man, he damn near made the huge mistake. Like it's a terrible throw. It's like, no, that's a high level throw. I mean, that's A++.
Yeah.
Now, Drake Maye throws it into 4 dudes and manages to fit it in there. Like, great throw. Like, I don't know how you did it, but it's not. Everybody's like, oh my gosh. Like, Collinsworth call was something like, if you want to see how hard it is to get it within this zone defense, the windows are so tiny, and Drake Maye fits it just in there just perfectly. And it's not, he damn near threw a pick there and somehow managed to throw it in there, right?
I would characterize that as the luckiest pass that Drake Maye threw the entire day, was that throw over the middle.
Agreed. But, listen to pretty much everybody else. That was a great throw.
Yeah. Well, it was a very good throw then, the follow-up throw, which going into this game, it was that type of throw that I was most concerned about, were those, deep, nice touch type throws. And that's then what set up what gave them that touchdown and their first points of the game.
Yeah, and they get the touchdown over top of Reek, who gets
good
lined up late.
Even, but I mean, he was there to try and make the play. It was the typical Tariq Woolen play where he is a little bit behind the receiver, catches up, and is at least in position to make the play.
Yeah, because of his mentals, he's like a little behind on the play, right? Like he's late getting out there and he kind of lollygags it. Like that's not the right word. That's unfair to him. But like he's not playing like a deep route right out of the gate. And then he's got to turn on the jets to try to make up for it. And to his credit, gets his hand up in between the receiver's hands. Just great catch.
Yeah.
Or a fantastic catch. And so it turned out to be like pretty good coverage overall, but like we see Reek give that up. I mean, he gave that up to Puka in the NFC Championship game. He gives it up here. Like these are the plays that, of all the different things when we ask about offseason questions, And I said, we don't have to have answers. This is the one that I think I have an answer on for me. And we'll see what John does. And again, fascinating to see. There's no way in God's green earth I'm paying Reek Woolen money.
I'm with you. If I had to decide, gosh, even if you were to tell me that both guys would cost the same amount, I would almost take Jobe over Reek. And
yes, 1,000% without question. And Jobe's going to be less.
I feel like that's going to be the case too. It should be. I mean,
I wonder if savvy GMs look at that and they like the consistency down in, down out of Jobe in what he's shown over the last 2 years, because don't get it twisted. He's been very good. He's been very good. And look at Reek and see the kind of the boom and busty part of it and are like, yeah, I'd rather go for the more consistent guy. Or our GM's going to get in GM brain, and we're about ready to get into full GM brain season of, oh, did you see his wingspan? Did you see his 40 time? Did you see this? Did you see that? And that's where Reek really does show up and show out.
And that's why I think that he's going to get paid more. It's those types of things that other teams look at and say, we don't have a guy that has that kind of speed or that kind of wingspan, and we want that.
Yeah. I thought they would trade him when they hired Coach Mike. In fact, I advocated for it. I think we would have been fine at corner if they had. I think we're still in this situation, right? There's a lot of these players that you point at in free agency where you go, we don't win this chip without them. I don't think Reek Woolen's one of those guys. I think with the way, like, just look at the way they had Kendrick playing there for a beat, right? It makes me believe that this success at finding corners wasn't just all Pete, that this is as much John Schneider, maybe even a titch more. And we all know that corner isn't the outside corners, isn't the straw that stirs the drink in a Mike McDonald defense.
Yeah, gosh. Just saying that we're going to roll with Nehemiah Pritchett in that spot has me.
No, but if, like, let's say you had traded Reek, right? Like, now you got more draft capital. There's maybe a different corner you draft. Maybe you find a dude in free agency. You know, whatever it is, they would have addressed it. It's not like you're just going to roll Pritchett out there.
Well, good discussion for the offseason for sure.
Yeah.
Seahawks, they get the ball back after the Patriots score. They get one first down to Rashid Shaheed before punting the ball back to the Patriots. And it was at this point, with 10:40 left in the game, up 19-7, to where you started to think, okay, if the Patriots are going to make this interesting, this would be the drive where if they were to score, it even... No, not if they would have had to score a touchdown to make it start to feel interesting, but this was going to be the drive to do it.
What percentage chance in your heart did you have that would happen, that the Patriots could get down the field and score and make it interesting?
It was coming off of, again, that one where they just had two shots down the field and they scored. And so with that recency bias in my brain, I was like, it made me think that, okay, the potential was there. The potential was there. And so I'd probably put it at like 20%.
Oh, that high. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I ordered another Coors Light. Like, I went and got myself a snack. Like, I was like, that's great. So Drake got the luckiest throw of the entire game to fall in between five dudes. And then Reek had a mental lapse like he always does. That's the end of that. Like I wasn't like 2%, maybe 2% for me. I genuinely thought this game was over at 9-0.
But they moved the ball on this drive. They had a little short pass to Ramondre. Then Drake Maye gets his scramble for 16 yards. And at that point, it's 1st and 10 on the New England 37. You know, they're starting to, they were backed up. Right to they started this on the 4-yard line after another Michael Dixon punt that pinned him on the 4. So they had the entire field to drive. And so maybe at the start of the game, maybe at the start of the drive, maybe it wasn't as high as 20%, but I would say after the Drake Maye run to where they were starting to get to midfield, that's when it was like, okay, maybe they're able to put something together now, because now they're moving the ball, and completes a pass to Kyle Williams, and then he tries the middle again, which was, according to the box score, thrown toward Kyle Williams again, Washington State Cougar product, but it was nowhere near in the area code of Kyle Williams when it came down into the hands of Julian Love.
True fact. And so, you're talking about, well, they were moving the ball and all of that. First off, they were starting on their 4. So like, that's another one. Like, bring me 2 Coors Lights, please. Like, this is amazing. I'm going to watch this defense get a safety. No, obviously they didn't do that, but this is their 3rd longest drive of the game, Brandon. They had 2 8-play drives. This is a 7-play drive. And with all that effort on that 3rd longest drive and everything, they managed to get to their own 37. That's how hard it was all freaking day. And that's why I was like, yeah, okay. Like, if they get a field goal here, it's a miracle. Like, that's what I'm thinking in my mind. And then, they force Drake to step up in the pocket. He goes full YOLO, blue screen of death. Just, I don't know what he was doing, and neither did Collinsworth with the best call of the game at that point. Yeah, I got nothing for you, Mike. I don't know.
Also, one of my favorite moments of the Super Bowl mic'd up, because Julian Love on the sideline, he says, before they go out on this drive, he says, we need to get the ball here. And then he says, I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to get the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like he was kind of just talking to himself even, but he had been talking to who was it? Oh, it was Kobe. He was talking to Kobe earlier in the game. And, this is fascinating. This is why I would love to be just a fly on the sidelines, just to listen to the conversations. I feel like I'd learn so much more about ball. It would be incredible, just with the way the players think and how they kind of look at things. And Julian talking to Kobe saying, typical young quarterback, hits his back foot, waits a beat, and, just be on it. And he was, man. And we forget, Julian Love, he got his bag last year, right? Mm-hmm. Earning his keep right here. And that was, once Julian intercepted that.
Yeah.
We could just stop the game now. Everything else is just a delay to our Lombardi,
And to get the quote right, he says, we need that ball, fellas. I'm going to get it.
I'm going to get it. Yeah. I loved it, man. He's a bad mofo, dude. And for being one of the most just genuine, nice, likable dudes, they talk about dogs, man. He's one of them.
All right. So the interception by Julian Love, that ends up setting up another Jason Myers field goal, just a 26-yarder after K9's able to just drive clock off the tick-tock starting at 8:37. He gets a first down on 1st and 10. And I love this, man. I love that after the Julian Love interception, they just go, okay, we're going to hand the ball to K9. And New England, knowing that Kenneth Walker is going to be getting the football with 8.5 minutes to go, they can't stop him on 1st and 10. He gets a first down. They give it to him again on 1st and 10. They can't stop him. He gets another first down, and then just clock ticking off, and then a couple more runs. They get a short throw to JSN, which I do remember this throw to JSN because this was the hardest that I remember hearing my mom inhale as she was worried that maybe the ball was in danger of getting intercepted. But that throw out to JSN on 3rd and 7, maybe unnecessary, but it does keep the clock going too. Oh, well, and except the Patriots called timeout.
Yeah, look, I love it. I love their mentality here. This is the difference between a buttoned-up professional coaching staff that understands situational football inside and out, unlike that crew that included one crybaby Kyle in Atlanta who choked away a Super Bowl with a similar margin on the line. Because they decided they had to go pass. We've got the MVP. We got to pass. Analytics says pass.
Nope. Set up Jason Myers for a field goal, 22-7. Then Patriots get the ball back, And on 3rd down and 8, they get a pass completed to Hunter Henry that gets them across over to the Seahawks side of the field for, let's see, is this the 3rd time all day then that they've been on the Seahawks side of the field? It might be. But
yeah, 2nd or 3rd, yeah.
Well, it's definitely the 3rd because they had scored a touchdown by now, and then I think it was early on in the game where they crossed over to the Seahawks side of the field before then taking the sack.
So,
yeah. Not a lot of times over the field. Seahawks aren't having it. Devon Witherspoon, he's coming in for the blitz. He does not get the fumble, but the ball goes into the air and directly into the hands of Uchenna Nwosu, who returns it for a 45-yard touchdown. The extra point puts it up 29-7. And by this time, we are all celebrating because there's only 4.5 minutes left on the game clock. And the idea of potentially scoring 22 points at this moment in the game, it is definitely not happening. And I was mad, Adam, at the prediction thing of saying, I think it was still saying that the Patriots had like a 4% chance of victory at this point in the game. And I was like, no. It's got to be higher than or lower than 4%.
Yeah, I mean, -4% probably would have been a little closer to accurate there because there was no way, shape, or form in like start with a spoon blitz on this play or on this drive. And I know Coach Mike said in his coaching show that those were all different blitzes with Spoon, like technically. And I'm sure the dudes around him are doing different things, but it was Spoon coming from depth and hitting the B gap. And I don't know that everybody quite realizes just how unbelievably unusual it is to bring a blitzing corner through the B gap rather than the C gap, which is around the tackle, right? And coming from the edge. I mean, that's what you normally see. And that's what we've seen out of Spoon a lot of his career. And he kept just bringing him up there and throwing this little bodied Spoon, full grown offensive lineman, and Spoon made him look stupid. Like, that's just how incredible of a player
Devon Witherspoon is. It's because he's so fast. Like, normally guys going through that gap, they're going to get tripped up. They're going to, the offensive lineman's going to get a hand on them, and it's going to slow them down enough because they are small-bodied guys. But he was so fast, he would just bounce off of any kind of contact and go straight through it.
Yeah, it's incredible. And he juked the guard out of his shoes on one of those and just got to the quarterback. And look, I am so excited that Uchenna got the interception in the TD here. I mean, you talk about a dude who's had to overcome so much the last 2 years in the terms of injury after initially coming to Seattle and showing out, and then just have his body betray him for a while, and just how hard he worked to get himself back to the point now to where, what is he? Is he the number 2 edge rusher on this team? The number 3?
Number 2 or 3, right? Because you have DeMarcus Lawrence, you got Derick Hall, you have Boye Mafe. I think
Mafe is clearly the 4 at this point. But yeah, man, just what a great story for a great dude who's worked his butt off for the last few years and done the hard stuff, man, to put himself in that position. And then, he just said it was like the ball just kind of appeared in front of his face. He was like, I'll take that. And man, at that point, as a 12, I mean, it's basically football ecstasy, right?
Yeah. Well, and at that point too, the shutout, it wasn't there because they had that previous drive. And so this next touchdown drive where they start with the ball with 4:27 left to go, they do score, with 2.5 minutes. So a 2-minute scoring drive gets them to 20-13. They go for the 2-point conversion. Kobe Bryant says, no, you're not getting the 2-point conversion on me. And that helped seal the game too, even more so because, with 2 minutes left, you're they're taking the onside kick and a nice little recovery by George Holani. Then
there you go. Hey, look, I refuse to acknowledge that second touchdown drive by the Patriots. I don't think it was real. I think it's AI. I think it's fake. I think it was just put in the game. I don't believe it happened, and so. I'm gonna deny that. Like, we didn't go to the moon. and the Patriots did not score a second touchdown.
We didn't go to the moon. The earth is flat, and the Patriots only scored one touchdown in the Super Bowl.
That's exactly right. And watch out for those contrails.
It's a close number 4, I think, after those top 3. But
grassy knoll? Do we need to throw that in there?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Of the top conspiracies, just put the Patriots touchdown drive somewhere in the middle of those.
Alleged Patriot touchdown drive. Right. Like, do your own research. I still don't think that happened.
After the Helani recovery, Seahawks get the ball back. They burn up the final 2 timeouts by the Patriots. A Michael Dixon punt puts the Patriots down on the 6-yard line, and all they can do is feebly try and move the ball as the Seahawks just run out the clock. And Leo Williams gets a sack in there too. That would have been a Super Bowl record, but that it ends up being nullified by the penalty, an offside penalty on Nwosu. So thanks, Nwosu. You got your interception touchdown at least.
Yeah, I guess we'll let it slide, huh?
Yeah.
Look, I don't need the record to know that this defense up front just whipped the catfish out of the Patriots all day.
But there were 2 big penalties down the stretch that kind of bummed me out. It was that one, and then it was on the Seahawks drive right before that where K9 would have had a 49-yard touchdown run, and it would have put him up at the 3rd most rushing yards in Super Bowl history if he hits that 49-yard touchdown run. And as the run was so long that we as fans all had time to think about, oh man, should K9 go down here just to help run out the clock a little bit more? Oh, maybe he should score, because why not? He's put up an MVP performance. Like, the man should deserve a touchdown. Like, you had that whole thought process in that entire 49-yard run, and then he gets there as you're accepting the idea of, yes, he should score this touchdown. Oh, the refs are calling it back because of a ticky-tack holding call on Jalen Sindel.
Yeah, no, I had 0 thoughts in my head. Should he get down? No, just score the ball. Like, just bury these guys. And it's funny because you think about that play. You think about the Gonzalez play on the Shaheed deep ball. You think about the JSN ball that Sam missed after the scramble, which was a really difficult throw. Like, that was, like, good luck. Like, you may hit that. Even like Mahomes hits that 4 out of 10 times. Like, that's a tough throw. I was trying to think of another instance here where it felt like that they were going to score, but then maybe didn't. Then Sam missed Shaheed deep on the one that he actually did overthrow him like a tick. And then obviously this Walker play we just talked about. This game to me, Brandon, tracks awfully similar to the Week 18 49ers game where we beat them 13-3.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, oh my stars, that was insanely dominant. And then, you got 95. Well, you only scored 13 points, so whatever, man. And you just knew when we saw them the next time in the playoffs that, order all the Coors Lights because this isn't going to be a contest. And they beat the brakes off of them. I feel like if these 2 teams played again next week, like, you do if you play the Super Bowl 10 times, Seahawks win it this many times, Patriots win. But I'm just saying, if they played again next week, I think the Seahawks win that game 50-7.
I saw somebody say, and I don't remember if it was 10 out of 10 times that the Seahawks win or 100 out of 100, but that this game would probably be the closest.
Yes, completely concur. That was a better way to put it. And that's how it felt.
Mark Chichester of PFF, in talking about Kenneth Walker, says the 4th year back finished with 135 yards of Seattle's 335 total net yards on 27 carries. 7 of those carries moved the chains. He forced 8 missed tackles while averaging 3.3 yards after contact. New England hadn't allowed a rusher to top 128 yards in a game since Week 18 of the 2023 season. Yet Walker reached that mark on the biggest of stages, and just goes to show you the MVP type performance that he put up. I remember another post going into this that Milton Williams hadn't given up, or the Patriots hadn't given up more than 58 yards to any rusher with Milton Williams in the lineup. And even with Mr. Williams, he was able to double up their highest total with him on the field this week.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that nobody circled in on the fact this is total rushing yards. This isn't just any given rusher. That the Patriots against top 10 run defenses gave up 152 yards a game.
Right.
Like, and just acted like, well, they're invincible. Facts say otherwise. Sorry. And there's enough data here to say this is not just once as a coincidence. This is once a coincidence, twice as a trend, 3 times is definitely a you problem, Patriots. And we talked about 5 games there.
Well, I think that's why going into this game, it was so hard to try and find a matchup of this Patriots defense against an offense like the Seahawks. Because, yes, they had faced some prolific passing offenses. They'd faced some prolific rushing offenses, but they've never really faced the type of offense that had the balance of the two. And, yeah, if you would have said that, JSN wasn't going to impact this game much, because I guess that was the one minor concern that I had in the third quarter was that, okay, we hadn't put up many points to that point in the game. And then JSN's out due to concussion protocol. And now they were starting to bring they were already starting to bring that safety down in the box because they had decided to stop the run. And it's like, okay, this would have been the point of the game to where now we can start spamming JSN, and he's not out there to do it. Right.
And that's probably why the numbers ended up where it did. Plus some good coverage by Gonzalez at times, a bunch of bracket coverage as well. In an offensive game plan by the Seahawks that dictated, hey, we're going to run the heck out of the ball until you tell us we can't. And Patriots never could do it. And a great point by you in terms of the Patriots and their defensive shift in the second half, where you saw a ton of single high in the drive that I believe it's the drive that Barner scored the touchdown on. There was a couple 6-man fronts in there, and they were desperately trying to do anything, and none of it worked. Not one thing.
Yep. And that was what made that Barner touchdown play so effective, is because Clint recognized that. It's like, okay, we may not have JSN on the field, but we've got our pass catching tight end, and was able to scheme him wide open.
Yeah, and that, boys and girls, is the anatomy of a champion. Like in the championship right there. There it is. We just went through it. Your Seahawks, man. These guys, best in the world. And I know that Frost, people in other countries sometimes will, field a team. And you can play this.
Put up any team around the world.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to.
We'll play another game.
Yeah. I'd probably be worse than the Pro Bowl, but hey, that's fine. But best in the world, and they played to their strengths. I mean, it played to the Seattle script, right?
Yeah.
It really did. And
especially down the stretch. This was definitely, and I guess that's how going into this game, it was a little bit tough to predict, because I felt that Mike Vrabel early on was going to try and sell out to stop the run. And that's why I thought that JSN would be much more effective in the first half. But they seemed more leaning toward that idea of, we're going to stop JSN in the passing attack. And
yeah, do it at your peril.
We said, okay, this is how we've been playing football the entire second half of the season. We'll just keep doing what we've been doing.
Yeah, and that's just it. And you talked about trying to compare offenses with other teams the Patriots had played, and you couldn't find one with the balance and the philosophy that Kubiak has in terms of having it all marry up, having an answer for whatever it is that your opposing defense wants to try to throw at you. And we saw it all year, man. JSN lights it up when you want to shut down the run. You want to shut down the run? Well, then we give it to our 2 backs, and we're just going to shove it right down your throat, and you're going to choke on it. So good luck. Good luck.
And Sam Darnold not getting rattled by the pressure at all this entire postseason.
Yeah.
And that was the narrative. And I know even Seahawks fans out there were like, okay, but we're getting toward the playoffs. This is where we've been told that we need to be concerned. And, I had my own concerns going to the playoffs. Like this is the time. And for him to not turn the ball over, or really the offense at all to turn the ball over, because that was the other question. It wasn't just that Sam had to be careful with the football. It was that we'd seen turnovers by the offense at some weird moments in the regular season that impacted the game too. But they went turnover free throughout the entire postseason. And for Sam to do that and not get rattled by the Patriots, it was a beautiful thing.
And think about what a stark difference that was compared to the beginning of the regular season. I mean, Mike, how many weeks in a row did he get up at his presser after a game? Most of them wins, to be fair, say we got to stop turning the ball over. Like it's too much. We got to address it. Like he talked about it for 5, 6, 7 weeks straight. It feels like, and then you get to the end of the season and this team is growing so much that you can get to the playoffs. And I know some people are trying to paint the Seahawks path to this Super Bowl as easy.
They do, though. They had to play teams that they're familiar with.
Yeah, that's worse. Yeah, you understand that's worse, right?
And they were also two of the most dominant teams in the NFC.
Yeah.
The Niners with a top 5 offense?
Yeah.
Throughout the season. Now they did have a super easy schedule, but so did the New England Patriots. But it's still double-digit win teams. What other double-digit win teams did we need to beat?
None, because we beat them all and then brought home the championship here. So it's just wild to watch the growth of this team throughout the year, in defense starting strong, ending strong, and then the offense with all of the changes. Like it wasn't perfect out of the gate, and it took some time. And I think that's why both you and I, throughout any season that we've covered now for the last 12, 13 years, whatever it's been, people start making declarations like week 4, week 5 about things. And we're always like, yeah, I don't know. Let's give it a little more time because things change.
This Super Bowl victory has been, it was not expected.
No.
If going into next
3% chance in the offseason.
Did you really 3%?
But that followed what I said just before that, where I said, it's not like we're winning the Super Bowl this year. So who cares who we bring in at wide receiver? And Clinton saying, but we might. And I was like, no. I was like, all right, fine. Never say never. 3% then. So yeah, for me, absolutely unexpected. No doubt.
Well, even as we got into the season, I'm trying to think at what point of the year where it started to become a real possibility. I suppose it was after the win over the Rams.
I think it was before then. I think it was going into the first Rams game that we had started talking about. I think it was about week 7, 8, 9 that we had mentioned.
Yeah, but if you would have checked my pulse after the loss to the Rams, I would have been like, no way. It's not happening.
Yeah. I would say like maybe the first times we allowed ourselves to think of maybe.
Yeah. Going into the Rams game, I did feel like it was because I was confident. We were both very confident going into that first Rams game.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how a lot of the season shifted around that too, because I almost think that loss to the Rams was necessary to get to this point, because it was coming out of that with that idea of, look, they turned the ball over 4 times. If they just turn it over twice, they probably beat that Rams team. Shoot, they almost won. There was a last-second field goal attempt from 60 yards that if that just goes through the uprights, they win with 4 turnovers. So it was coming out of that. It was like, yeah, Sam doesn't have to play perfect. He could just, and the offense doesn't have to play perfect.
Yeah, just don't have a meltdown, right?
Just don't have a meltdown. And the defense, is that good? And so that was also the game where Ernest Jones said, if you have something to say about our quarterback, catfish you.
Yeah.
And
I was like, okay, well, I guess just catfish me. Like, I understand.
And so it was like all of that, I just that combined, those couple of things, and they didn't lose a game after that. It was like they solidified as a team. I think the offense recognized that, hey, we just can't screw up that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, and I think it's so interesting because the last loss of the season really like put me on the full-on Sam Darnold roller coaster for this year. As a doubting Darnold coming into the year, hated it. Then we get going in week one, is a little up and down, and of course he fumbles at the end of the game, but I mean it's really Abe's butt, so like I don't really hold it over his head. Some really good performances where he's just lighting it up and like he's at the height of quarterback play in terms of numbers, and then looked at the advanced, the EPAs and all that nonsense stats, like he's crushing it at all those things. And having to be like, okay, well, going to the Rams game, I remember saying something to the effect of like, okay, like he showed me like I'm gonna believe going into this game. I'm gonna put myself out there with my fandom. And then he did that. And it was just like, oh my God, know what type of game you're in. And then it was back to
whatever. I remember because in our Discord, people were talking about, is it time to put in Drew Lock against the Rams? It was going that badly in that game. And then the Rashid Shaheed punt return flipped that entire game.
Oh, yeah. No, that's the second Rams game. Yeah, exactly. So, like,
okay.
After the first Rams game and the 4 interceptions, like, I'm just like, I put myself out there. I thought I'd believe. Like, everybody told me, you're just being a hater. And then he goes out and does that. It's like, well, there you go. Like, I can't believe this. And then you get the Rams again shortly after that. And, after the second pick, and you're like, okay, well, I guess this is just what it is. And is the Shaheed return the biggest play of this entire season?
If it's not the Shaheed return, and it's not the Ernest Jones having his quarterbacks back after the Rams loss, then the next one is Zach Charbonnet randomly picking up the football in the end zone for the 2-point conversion
right?
to tie it up, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's crazy because then after the return, then Sam, like, it's like he just decided at that time, like, screw it. I'm just whatever. I'm done with all of the pressure, all that. Lights it up going down the stretch against the Rams in game 2. It has an incredible duel with Stafford to get the win. And that was high level crap out of Sam after really stinking early. And then from that point forward, it kind of felt like cruise control for the most part. And then to get to a postseason where he doesn't turn it over one time, lifts the Lombardi at the end of it. Like, what a roller coaster of a ride to go on with a player. Like, at least for me personally. I don't know if anybody else feels that same way, but it's been fun, man. And the cherry on top. When he took the mic at the pre-parade ceremony in the stadium, I felt like that was the first time we got to see like real Sam. He give you the quarterback answers and stuff like everybody kills Russ for, like all the cliche things. And, and that's what you're supposed to do as QB1. It just is. He's got a beer in hand and just with a smile on his face. And it all felt like it finally was coming out in like a genuine way. And just the way he talked and, who believed in me and who didn't, and short and sweet and all of that. That was the moment where, not after he won me a Super Bowl, you'd think that'd be it. That was the moment where I was like, okay, that's my quarterback.
You're all in. Yeah. Cool moment in the parade / victory celebration. Gosh, there were so many cool moments. There was Mike McDonald saying, after JSN got up there and said his piece, saying put some respect on that man's name, which I think was the call
Salty
out.
Mike.
It was the call out from the NFL awards ceremony. And that was cool to see. And then, of course, Ernest Jones taking the mic.
It was so great. It's hilarious, too. Like, watch Rabe's face when he's standing next to him when he drops the first F-bomb. He's kind of like, ugh. And then by the time he's winding up to the end of it, the thing, like, Rabe's face is just, the grin's getting bigger and bigger and bigger until, Ernest lets it go. And even his ultimate boss, Jody Allen, is clapping and cheering for him, cussing out the rest of the football world on live TV. It's great. It's great. I love this team, man. I love this team.
This team is incredible. And the personalities. And that was one other thing that I wanted to make sure that we touch on, that I think there's a piece of this where Pete Carroll can take a little bit of credit for, even though he's not here.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought this up. Yes, please continue. Yeah.
Because the culture that they built and established through Pete Carroll, you see it continue here, because while he's not here as the head coach, it's the camaraderie piece. Like, this is what he was trying to do, of getting players to connect with one another. And one of the guys that we really don't talk about at all that was here with the Pete Carroll time and now here with the Mike McDonald time is Michael Gervais. And he's that team sports psychologist type person that I think has a lot to do with making these types of one-on-one connections within the team, because I think that they are recognizing that it's very difficult to get to this point of an NFL season if you don't, the whole idea of knowing what the other person of why, their reason why they go out here and perform. Like, everybody has a different reason why they want to go out and be the greatest, and knowing each other and knowing, why that is for every single one of your teammates, it helps connect this team so much together and so much more than maybe a lot of other teams. And I think I think we can attribute part of that to Pete Carroll.
Absolutely. And this is taking absolutely zero credit away from our fabulous current head coach in Mike McDonald, right? And John Schneider was able to recognize, we're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater here. And some of the DNA, some of the bones of what this organization is in terms of, the vibe, as you talked about, and kind of leading with positivity in a lot of ways, in connection, in, the thing that Brock and Salt can't seem to get over, but the vulnerability that these men show to one another. How many I love yous did you hear after the game? Fast forward, rewind 25 years ago, dude, or 40 years ago, when we were kids, you, even after a Super Bowl win, you wouldn't hear that. No. So, Pete really did start all of that and kind of leading in a new way. And I kind of think back to the ESPN article that had, for the main picture, Russell Wilson sitting cross-legged in a meditation pose. I don't remember the exact article, but it talked about, it really was a big change in terms of vulnerability, positivity, connection, all that stuff. And Pete brought that. And then Mike came and had a similar philosophy in that way, a similar brand of ball, but put his own sauce on it and really took us again to that next level. And it's awesome to see that continuity between these two coaches that really have no connection and don't talk about each other at all.
Oh, yeah. No, and they won't.
They won't. Yeah. But that's a great point by you. And I thought about that a couple days ago and I'd forgotten about it. And so thank you for bringing that up, because I do think it's important.
Well, just like our Seahawks have an excellent organization around them that helped to get them to a Super Bowl, we've got an excellent organization of folks around us helping to support the show. We've got executive producers, DCH, Ryan Peterson, our YouTube live executive producer, Brian Shaw, JC Schilling in the 313th, and of course, Stephen Kirkpatrick. And that's who I'm going to start off with, Adam. Stephen Kirkpatrick.
What up, Stephen? Yeah.
He is ramped up week to week as we've gone throughout the playoffs with his score donation, and he did it again. Coming in with $329.13. $300 on top of the 29 to 13 score donation. I have a feeling you're going to be hearing Stephen Kirkpatrick among our executive producers for at least a very long time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not that you have to buy your way into such things per se, but that's incredibly generous. And just, wow, Stephen, your support's been amazing, dude. And you mentioned, a number of names there, right? Through our executive producers. And I just want to give a shout out to JC because you had forwarded me a text that he'd sent us that was very kind. And so I did get to read that. And thank you for that, man. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah, he sent me some parade videos that I hadn't had a chance yet to watch. And so I'm looking forward to seeing those. We had so many folks down there watching the parade. And unfortunately, I didn't make the drive out for it. I thought about it, but couldn't make it happen. And I just would have had to drive throughout the night just to even get in line at that early.
Yeah.
Because there are people lining up at like 7, 8 in the morning.
Yeah. I got back here late Tuesday night because it's a 13-hour drive from here to Reno. Right. Wow. So coming back from seeing DCH, and Clinton wanted to do the kind of going through some of the imagery and all that stuff on Monday night. And so I cut down my driving that night. And so I had a massive day. And so, unless I'd had a Star Trek transporter to get there, then like it wasn't happening. But also
driven from Reno to Seattle, but
I don't even know. But at the end of the day, I've done that crap before, no doubt. Also too, like that many people condensed in that tight of space. That's a hard pass for this curmudgeon who lives in a plywood box in the woods. Yeah.
I would have liked to have been in the stadium though for the speeches. That would have been fun.
That'd have been cool.
But we couldn't make it. I ended up going to a really fun concert Tuesday night ahead of the Wednesday parade, and yeah, that ended up making it worth it. So,
speaking of dudes that doesn't like crowds, shout out to Ken Walker's dad. Like, first game that he's ever gone to, man, and he watches his son get to be the MVP of the freaking Super Bowl. Like, how? Like, that's a Disney movie kind of thing.
It is, and then K9 got to go to Disneyland with Sam Darnold and ride in the teacups together.
I keep hearing about this. I've yet to see it. Is it anticlimactic as I think it would be?
Oh, you'll be very. If you've heard about it this much, it will be very anticlimactic watching it. It's just.
Were you even like whelmed, or like?
It was just kind of a cute moment of seeing two football players ride around in a spinning teacup together.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I feel like I've lived it now. Thank you.
You have. Jeff Green also became a new member out on YouTube, so welcome to the flock to Jeff.
Hell yeah, man. Welcome to the flock.
PDX She-Hawk in at $5 a month via getintheflock.com says, as a longtime Seahawks fan, I am used to being realistic in my confidence level. I was truly way more nervous for the NFC Championship game as it was the catfishing Rams. I am not nervous at all about the Super Bowl. It is our game to win. It is our game to lose. We are in control and have the depth on the roster to take care of business easily. Even if we suffer injury, we have others to step in and get it done. I will do my part and wear the jersey that wins, the socks that win, and the hat that wins. Yeah. Let's go Seahawks. Amber coming in with that before the game.
Yeah, PDX She-Hawk, you're getting it done just like the rest of the 12s. That's championship effort by her.
So yeah, welcome to the flock to Amber. Thanks to Robert Pashusta, who came in with a score donation of 29 to 13. Big thanks to Robert.
Wow, thanks, man.
And Robert says, thanks for being my cake to my Dan Vienne's broccoli. Love you guys.
Well, I love being cake. What kind of cake would we be, though, Brandon? Because I don't know that we're that much more fun than Dan, right? Like, maybe like carrot cake.
I hope not carrot cake.
I like carrot cake.
I also like broccoli, so
I like broccoli if it's cooked right. Like I didn't like broccoli all that well until Brittany came along and she cooks the catfish out of broccoli, and it's really good. Yeah,
good. The way you characterize it, that almost I thought you were going to say bad, because usually if you overcook it, it's not good.
No, I mean like crushes it while cooking it. Okay. Yeah.
See, growing up
probably
as a kid,
doesn't sound good either. I don't know how to put it to where it doesn't sound bad, but it's a good job.
Just say it's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah. See, my mom growing up would put cheese on the broccoli, and then when I got older, I learned to cook broccoli, so then it just made it better. Yeah.
There you go.
So I guess to answer your question, what kind of cake? Cheesecake.
Oh, yeah. I'm a little rich at times, so that makes sense. Yeah, that tracks.
User 1182 in at $3 at gettingtheflock.com. So welcome to the flock to user 1182.
That's great. I'll take the AI ones too. Like AI flockers are great.
Laura Moore dropped a $30 donation via PayPal at seahawkerspodcast.com. Click on the donate button, go into PayPal, and Laura says, thanks for keeping us connected to our team after we had to move from Seattle to Ohio. Oh, very nice, Laura.
Oh, sweet.
Sorry you had to move away, but I'm glad we get to help you stay connected.
I don't know. Maybe Ohio's kicking butt for them. Like that's great. Appreciate it.
Well, I mean, it makes the commute tougher to go to games. So I'm sorry
Surely
that
does.
way.
Surely does. Yeah.
And then Dustin Steger came in at $3. Welcome to the flock to Dustin.
Hey, man. Great to have you, Dustin. And I think I want to reconfigure some of our Patreon things, I think.
Oh,
this offseason. We'll see. But I definitely want to keep that $3 amount to get into the Discord, which now we have Dustin with us. And I think we can do better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so too. It's just, how lazy am I?
Well, I mean, we've been 10 years lazy now with this Patreon thing? Like, yeah, probably time.
I just wish that Patreon would let people enter their own amount of whatever they wanted to choose. And okay, maybe $3 is the level to get into the Discord, but I just want people to say, this is the value that I get from the show. This is the amount, whether it's by the month or by the year, whatever you choose, I don't care. I just want that flexibility. And maybe, whether you want to do Venmo, whether you want to do PayPal, however you want to support the show, we're always happy to recognize that you're finding value in what we do.
Yeah, and always appreciate it. And come on, Patreon. Like, more freedom's always better than less. Let's go.
We got Eugene coming in via email saying, Brandon, I deleted my Facebook account, but at the beginning of the season, I posted about how when a new pope is selected, Seattle made the Super Bowl. Pope Benedict was named Pope April 19th, 2005, and then Seattle was in Super Bowl 40. Pope Francis was named March 13, 2013, and Seattle went to the Super Bowl 48. Pope Leo was named May 8, 2025, and Seattle went to Super Bowl 60. So if any little flockers have sway with the Catholic Church, I say let's get rid of lifetime appointments for popes, maybe 2-year appointments. Go Hawks.
So you heard it here first, folks. Impeach the Pope so we can go to the Super Bowl again.
Well, we did go back-to-back with Pope Francis.
I was going to say. Yeah.
We can go back-to-back with this one.
Okay. All right. And then after that, do we have to impeach the Pope?
Then we have to impeach the Pope.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry.
This guy heavy.
I know. All right. And maybe not. Maybe we can just keep being good throughout. I'd like to think that now that it's an American Pope, it's just he'll be our forever Pope and our forever Super Bowl Pope.
Our Super Pope?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we'll be Pope independent.
Even though he's a Bears fan. I don't know how that works, but.
Hey, look, even popes have flaws, man.
You got Leo coming in. Hey, Brandon, now that we're Super Bowl champions, I can breathe a sigh of relief and apologize for the quote-unquote curse I put on the Seattle Seahawks in recent years. 10 years ago, my wife and I took a road trip down the West Coast to Seattle. We managed to catch a game live at Lumen, then CenturyLink Field, but the Seahawks lost to the stupid Cardinals 39-32. The main reason Carson Palmer was able to put up almost 40 points over the Legion of Boom defense was that on our way to Seattle, we went to Levi's Stadium to watch the 49ers beat the Falcons. Basically, we brought all the bad vibes from Santa Clara to Seattle and maybe all the negative effects of the electrical field, and it took a decade for the air to finally clear up in Seattle. The curse lasted until the loss to the Rams in Week 11, 10 years after our fateful appearance at CenturyLink. Yes, we're responsible for Darnold's 4 turnovers and Myers' missed field goal. But since then, the Seahawks have been undefeated, beat the Rams twice, the 49ers twice, got the NFC number 1 seed, all the way to the Super Bowl victory at that same Levi Stadium. I hope you will forgive us all for the misery of the last few seasons, and we will certainly do better next time. Go Hawks from Leo.
Leo, love it, man. Hey, no worries whatsoever. The curse of the genes, it's over.
Finally, I didn't even know it was a curse, but now we know.
Yeah,
and I'm glad you
go.
Get. Yeah, I appreciate you laying low for all that time until you could claim victory of not being responsible for the curse.
It's tough, man. When you feel like you're responsible for a curse, like it's tough to put it out there full chest. No doubt about it, man. There's a little bit of curse shame in there.
Benjamin from Oakland says, "Hi, Seahawkers. I've been listening to you since the last Super Bowl. I was a flocker. I didn't know what happened. I'm trying to fix that right now on Patreon. I made it to the Super Bowl on Sunday. On Saturday morning, I was on vacation in northern Japan. As soon as I finalized this vacation, I immediately realized the Super Bowl would happen while there and regretted not leaving that weekend open. All week, I was watching ticket prices dropped and realized I could catch a plane and arrive 6 hours before I left Saturday due to the international dateline and make the game, and FOMO was too much to not go. I sat in the top row 10-yard line and happened to sit next to a former Aussie Rules footballer. Shout out to Lincoln from Melbourne, who was by himself checking off his bucket list to see the Super Bowl. He was in the midst of taking his family on an epic U.S. tour. So many highlights to comment on, but given being in the rafters and talking with an Aussie, the punting mastery of Michael Dixon stood out. Dave Wyman and others have noted the outstanding football tackle by Jason Myers, 5:35 left in the fourth. That was a nice tackle. 1 hour, 12 minutes in the all-22. I wanted to highlight a play that was, from my perspective, lost in the shuffle of defensive dominance. Now, it turned out to be a moot point due to a holding penalty, but it's worth it to rewatch. The punt coverage of Michael Dixon, 5:22 left in the third, at the 56-minute, 12 seconds in the all-22. They were only up 12-0. Dixon punts from the 9-yard line. The returner dramatically jukes 3 Seahawks defenders and gets to the right edge with what from my seat was a wall of 4 blockers. It looked like he was going to the house, but I see Dixon like a laser pursuing the runner. He has run from the 9 and slips past all 4 blockers to push the runner out. Thanks for all your work.
Heck yeah, man. Look, he literally time traveled to get to the game. We have a magic flocker in Benjamin here.
That's pretty wild to make that trip. We're talking about not going to the parade and it being kind of like, oh yeah, the FOMO kind of kicking in on the parade. He flies entirely to Japan and then turns around and flies back so he could be at the Super Bowl.
Hey, if there's one thing I took away from that, Brad, is we're a couple crybaby catfish asses. That's what we are.
All right. I had to do better and better at life.
All right, man. My do better this week is for somebody that I'm pretty sure every single 12 in all the land will agree this man needs to do better, like all the time, just from a sports hate perspective. Not talking about his personal beliefs, just talking about sports hate perspective. I woke up on Super Bowl Sunday, and the first notification on my phone was Aaron Rodgers may return to the Steelers or is leaning towards returning to the Steelers. You know who I didn't need to hear the catfish call from on Super Bowl Sunday was Aaron freaking Rodgers. Retire. Go away. We are all done with you. The limelight, that's the closest you'll ever be to a Super Bowl ever again in your life, is floating your name out there that you might come back to play another crap-ass season of football that we all get to suffer through. I didn't need it. I'm so tired of Aaron Rodgers. Like, go away. Go find another insurance company to hawk, ads for, like Peyton Manning's done for the last 15, 20 years. All right. I'm sure Geico could use you. Maybe you could replace the gecko. Like that'd be great. But just get out of my football life and get out of my notifications on Super Bowl Sunday, because Aaron, and I know this is hard to hear, this is something that maybe nobody's ever told you. It's not all about you. So to Aaron Rodgers, just shut up and do better.
I do like the idea of Aaron Rodgers caveman. If they bring back the caveman on Geico, I think that would work.
Especially when they brought back the caveman and he was getting all offended about all the caveman things. I think that would fit Aaron really well, to just be indignant about a bunch of things.
The caveman as an NFL quarterback would fit the personality perfectly. Being out there and throwing up his arms and
yes, 1,000%. In running his archaic offense that nobody wants to deal with anymore, that he's bringing from the Stone Age. This is great. Look,
Geico needs to send us a check for coming up with this idea.
Absolutely. We just workshopped the heck out of that.
My do better this week is for Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports. And he had a post this week, says, "I'm not going to say it because I'm not an excuse guy, but it's BS that Seattle got to play a Super Bowl on the West Coast." And if you click on the video, he talks about how it was a huge advantage for West Coast teams because your body's not ready. And he said that because he made the trip and he wasn't feeling right when he got there, and then he got back home and he's still not feeling right. Dave, you have to understand, though, your team, the Patriots, and really all the players from around the league, they get to the Super Bowl a week before the game. Their body has an entire week of being where they are to adjust to the time zone difference. And unless Patriots fans are as soft as apparently he thinks that his own team is, then he needs to do better.
He definitely needs to do better because, look, man, I've only listened to this man talk maybe twice in my life. I don't know where he came from. I don't know why he suddenly became some famous person for the Barstool thing or whatever. I honestly
because he came up with the Barstool Sports Network. I think it's a sports network that people
did he
to.
He must have just hired talented people then to
I don't think it's him. No, I think he just
good.
He runs it
because his sports takes are horrendous. I've come across them a handful of times in life, right? Only listened to him talk twice, and it was both about pizza, and he was praising some pizza that looked just terrible, by the way. I'm not even sure we're supposed to trust him on pizza. But, Brandon, we've talked about this freaking nonsense for years and years and years and years, right? The whole, we got to go to the East Coast. Not only that, but they're going from the East Coast to the West Coast where, you gain time, right?
Yeah.
So, you have a little later start rather than, a West Coast team going to the East Coast team who's, never complained ever about having to play a Super Bowl out on the East Coast like the Seahawks did in 48 when they beat the snot out of the Broncos. They weren't out there being oh my gosh, this is so hard. Look, Dave, you sit in a magic flying recliner in the sky, okay? And they bring you all the goodies that you want because I'm sure you sit in first class. Just shut up. It's not like you're taking the Oregon catfishing trail to get to the Super Bowl, okay? It's not like the Patriots came from literal Paul Revere times and hiked their ass across the Wild West to get to San Fran. Just a joke, man. I hate this stuff.
So do we get an extra 7 points in Super Bowl 49 to make up for the fact that it was also on the West Coast, or how does that work? The fact that the last time the Patriots and Seahawks faced, that it was also closest to the West Coast.
Yeah, he probably doesn't consider Arizona out on the West. I don't even know.
Even though it's probably just as far of a flight from New England, or if not farther than it is to San Francisco. I don't know what the actual mileage is.
Yeah. I don't know, man. But nonsense stuff. We live in an age where like travel is just not that hard. It's not that hard.
Again, it's the entire week. There is absolutely no jet lag that happens when you make a 3-hour time zone difference, and you are there at the location for the entire week leading up to the game. You have all that time to adjust your clock, your body clock, to the Super Bowl time zone. So
it should take you a day.
And these guys are young. It's not like he's an old dude. Like for Dave, okay, I understand it.
He's old like us, right?
He's old like us.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like when you get older, adjusting to time zones takes a little bit longer.
It can. It's never taken me more than a day.
No. And that's for trips of over 9 hours.
Yes. I don't know, man. I drove 12 hours in a day on Tuesday, and I could have strapped it up in the Super Bowl the next day if I had something called talent to do so. Like
huge advantage, though. Huge advantage being on the West Coast.
Huge conspiracy.
Not better at life.
You know, man, we didn't talk about it beforehand, but do you have a specific better at life? Because I mean, it feels like here after the second Lombardi comes back to Seattle. I mean, we could start with Jody Allen, right? But then you got John Schneider, and you got Mike McDonald, and you got, all the people in the VMAC that John Schneider goes over every single time, all the scouts and all the personnel guys and the cap guys and, Eric Kennedy and the equipment and, the people that are mixing the yellow Gatorade that make Mike smell like yellow Gatorade after he gets his Gatorade bath. Like, I don't know who you could possibly give it to. I kind of want to give it to the whole organization, but maybe it just starts at the top, man. Maybe it just starts at the top. I had to kind of talk this out, I guess, in real time, but let's make it Jody Allen for me. Because
let's do it for all of us.
Yeah. I mean,
because this will probably be the last season where she is the owner of the team.
I don't know. I read an article saying it might be difficult to do right now too. So I don't know.
I feel like it's trending that way. So let's just do it with the expectation. And if it's, we can do it again down the road. She can have another better at life once she sells the team. But for now, we've got the Super Bowl chip, and it's really for her on behalf of the entire organization, because man, oh man, what a great year.
What a great year. What a great way to lead a football team. I mean, that she's not just hands off, because you hear Mike talk about, we talk every week over Zoom.
Yeah,
right?
She's just not in the media.
She's not in the media. She's not in the locker room. She's not meddling over here. She understands that she's got ballers to do their jobs. And so to stand back, ask questions. And when it comes time to make big decisions, like trade DK Metcalf, go for it. Is that what you want to do? I'm on board. And give people agency to do that. And just be the perfect touch of ownership, where you're setting the standard, all of that stuff, but you're not meddling every single day. And what a great tribute to her brother, Paul, savior of the Seahawks, as they were trying to be snuck out of town at one point. And just to keep that legacy moving on, I just think is a remarkable accomplishment for somebody that didn't have football chops coming into the job, right?
Right. How for any NFL owner or acting in that role, it's totally different than any other, because you've seen successful business people come in and try and run a football team like their business that ended up making them a billionaire able to buy a football team. And there's people that just, it doesn't translate.
Yeah.
And so to be able to come in and make it, just make it continue to work after Paul Allen left. That's no easy task. And we've talked about that before, how it could easily have gotten screwed up.
Oh man, big time. And she steadied the ship. got us through some rough waters and now has brought us to a second Lombardi. And I just want to thank her. She is better at life than Skip Bayless, no doubt about it. But I also have a humble request for Jody. Okay. So here in the Gulch, Brandon, there are 6 properties. This is a very private place. It's very tight knit. There's only 6 properties. In COVID year, neighbor Brandon sold his property below us to buy the uppermost property. Well, during that process, because it is so tight knit, Brandon was like, hey, these people are going to be your direct neighbors, whoever moves in here. He just went out of his way to, number one, like, just ask us about, hey, what do you think about this person and all of that stuff, and keep us involved in the process, but really kept us front of mind in terms of, you know, doing what's right by us, as well as being able to sell his property and get a decent amount of money, right? He did a fantastic job. The lady that bought the property is a great gal. It is a great addition to the tight-knit community that we have here. So my request to Jody is this. There's going to be billions of dollars of offers coming your way, okay? Just please don't make this solely a business decision. Like, make sure that it's not just the check that makes sense. Make sure the people that are buying it make sense. And I think she's that kind of person. But when it comes to these multi-billion-dollar deals and stuff like that, that stuff gets thrown by the wayside all the time. Yeah. And so my plea to Jody Allen is make sure you hire somebody that embodies the spirit that you and Paul brought to the organization. That's it. That's all. And please and thank you.
I love that you pitched it as a hire, and maybe you misspoke instead of, because you said sell. Hire someone instead of sell it to someone.
Okay, sorry. Yes.
But yeah. I love that idea because it's approaching it as a hire, right? Because you're almost interviewing them as the next potential owner. And while it is a sale type of thing, I like that idea of that exact type of approach, because it's you have to vet it a little bit, and it has to be, you're looking for the right fit. And I would tag onto that 100%.
Awesome. All
right. Well, as we thank Jody Allen, you know who we also have to thank, Adam. It's our members of the flock who help support the show at $12 and above, and they have been helping all along throughout the season. And it just seems so fitting to close out a Super Bowl episode by thanking these little flockers.
Keith Ketover, a.k.a. Flocktimus Prime, University of Cybertron, Little Flockers, roll out.
DCH from Sparks, Nevada, the University of Montana Grizzlies.
Gary Blum from Chappaqua, New York, and the University of Pennsylvania, your 2016 Pick'em League champion.
Ron Pepper, UNLV Runnin' Rebels, San Francisco, California.
Hello, this is Hawk Van Dyke, the 2024 champion of the Ring of Honor Fantasy Football League.
Lisa in Seattle.
Samuel Gelber, NoHo, California.
David Van Cleve, Camas, Washington, home of the Papermakers.
Leo Jose, Luleå, Sweden, from Luleå Eskimos and Rennes front.
Aaron Fisher, coming in from Henderson, Nevada. Go Hawks!
Marty from Down Under, Australia. Go Hawks!
Chris Boucher, a.k.a. the biggest little flocker, South Central Louisiana State University. Go Mud Dogs.
Hey, it's JC Schilling, back from Germany, living on beautiful Whidbey Island now with Quinn and Hudson. Go Hawks!
Hey Seahawkers, my name is Garen Taylor. I live in one of the most beautiful places in the world, North Idaho. Hashtag on the roads. Go Hawks.
You heard from our executive producers, DCH and JC Schilling. Also thanks to executive producers Ryan Peterson, Brian Shaw, and Stephen Kirkpatrick. And kicking off our list of $12 supporters and above, starting with Rebecca in Manhattan Beach, Christina in Manassas, Virginia, Craig in Camas, Jeremiah in the Bronx, Brian in Omak, Kevin in Great Glen, England, Sven in Berlin, Deutschland, Jay in Linwood, Jake in Seattle, Pepper in Greer, South Carolina, Brandon in Huntersville, North Carolina, Jonathan in Ridgefield, Kevin in Surrey, BC, JC in Horsford, England, Brian in Berlin, Connecticut, Connie in Gothenburg, Sweden, Marvin in Riverdale, Utah, Jeffrey in Kansas City, John in New York, Patrick in Sacramento, Bryson in Eltopia, Glenn in Ocoee, Florida, Jeremy in Federal Way, Paul in Portland, Daniel C. in the Greater Hoctum, Norma in the Greater Hoctum, Ken in Hutto, Texas, Mario in Seattle, Anders in Vila, Denmark, JC in the Greater Hoctum, Warren in Dundee, Oregon, Chris in Austin, Rafe in Beaverton, Oregon, Amy in Squim, Richard in Killeen, Texas, Joseph in Vancouver, Eugene in Henderson, Nevada, Jeff in Bainbridge Island, Marlon in the Greater Hoctum, Jamie in Oswestry, England, Alexander in Oranienburg, Deutschland, DJ in Menifee, California, Joshua in the Greater Hoctum, Mark in Bexkey Heath, England, John in Toano, Virginia, Jeff in Gilbert, Arizona, Jason in Panama City, Florida, Greg in Lake City, Colorado, Sean in Cascade, Iowa via Kalispell, Montana, Oliver in Fort St. John, BC, Ian in Seattle, B-Walls 22 in New York, Russell in Harpenden, England, Ovary Smasher 69 in Phoenix, Sam in Altamont Springs, Florida, Chris in Manchester, England, Charles in Bremerton, Corey in Robertson, Australia, Andrew in Maidstone, Australia, Nathan in Fife, Ken in Stanwood, Stu in Navarre, Florida, RJ in Bucyrus, Kansas, The Poetrist in Boise, Idaho, Martin in Ferrum, Denmark, Root in the Greater Hoctum, Carlos in Tacoma, Jack in San Diego, Mark in Everett, Yokai Hawk in Nakatsugawashi, Japan, Mohawk in the Greater Hoctum, Matthew in the Greater Hoctum, and Amber in Portland. That's going to do it. A big thanks to our $12 supporters and above, and a big thanks to everybody who has helped support this show, all of our YouTube members, everybody at $3 and above in our Discord, the people that, there's people that support us at $1 a month, $12 a year. We appreciate you too. And everybody who has helped just even listening over the past 12, 13 years that we've been doing this show, Adam, because as I look at our statistics, we passed over 4 million show downloads on the audio side this year. And just to think that 4 million people have hit the download button, or maybe not 4 million people, but multiple people have hit that download button 4 million times over the course of us doing this. And that's not even counting all the people out on YouTube. Man, oh man, that's a lot of people to thank.
It's outrageous, dude. I don't think either of us thought when we started doing this as an excuse just to hang out when you came back to Missoula 13 years ago, basically. And we sat around one microphone on my kitchen table in my single wide trailer at the time, that this is where we'd be, right? Like, that's incredible, man. And you guys really, it was something that was brought up a few different times by a few different people that I've talked to over the week, but just the culture of the little flockers that surrounds the show. It really is all you. It's a lot like how Coach Mike says, the MOB wasn't his thing, Dark Side wasn't his thing, but the players needed to be able to do their own thing and make it come to life on their own. Yeah. You guys really have done it. And it's one of the coolest things in the world, in my humble opinion. And I'm genuinely humbled by it, especially when you start putting 4 million next to like our download numbers. Like, just okay, that's crazy.
We've been doing it a while, and we've met so many people along the way and made friends who we never would have otherwise met if not for doing the show. And to be able to do that while watching our team continue to have success throughout all these years, it's been a fun ride.
It's been a fun ride, and it's just about to get cranked up here too, folks. Like, this next few months, this next 2 years, man, like, this is crazy. This is the hardest part of football that we get to watch this team navigate through, getting to the top of the mountain and then staying up there when the target's on your back, when your draft picks are at the lowest, when people are poaching your staffs and doing all that stuff. I can't wait to see how John Schneider navigates this. Is it going to be F these picks? Is it going to be, go and get the big free agent? Is it going to be trade down year after year after year like we did in the past? Like all that. The journey is just beginning, people, as we venture to go, dare I say, back to back.
We got to do it. I'm looking forward to it. And as you mentioned, the idea of the journey around it, I can't think of a better group of listeners, a better group of podcast hosts, and a better team and group of guys than that we got to watch win the Super Bowl this year as we get to do it moving forward, buddy.
I'm so proud. I'm so proud of the show. I'm so proud of this team. I'm so proud of this organization. A button's about to pop off my chest, Brandon. I swear to God.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.